A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A 5-alarm fire. 5 bells. Move in immediately.
That's it. Let's roll. Let's go. Firefighters. Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In a minute, we'll join Fire Chief Bob Cody in his private office in Headquarters Station, where he sits staring in amazement at his young friend, Jimmy Collins. Jimmy has just declared that he knows the answer to a mystery that started when the junior firefighters began storing the antiques they're collecting for their sale in the station house below. The reason the art dealer, Lucius P. Darby, had tried to hide his interest in the old snuff box is now clear. He didn't want Jimmy to find out it was a priceless art object, a museum piece. But the answer comes a bit too late. For the snuff box itself seems to have vanished into thin air. To see what really had happened, well, we'll get together again right after this message. Let's go, firefighters. Let's get up to Chief Cody's office on the second floor of the fire station and get to the bottom of this mystery. Earlier this evening, Jimmy's sister Trudy had found a picture of the missing snuff box in a book on rare antiques. It was a valuable collector's item, missing for many years. That is, until it turned up among the things donated for the junior firefighter sale. And now, it's gone again. And Jimmy is telling the chief.
I'm sure that antique dealer, Mr. Darby, is behind this somehow, sir.
I wonder. He couldn't have hidden it here. We searched.
I know, and he couldn't have taken it with him because he made a point of showing me he had nothing in his pockets.
Still, if I had known how valuable it was, I'd have asked him a few questions.
But I was the one who talked with him this afternoon, Chief.
True, but I just talked with him myself. He was out walking that dog of his in the neighborhood of that false alarm I just came back from.
That's funny. Shop is over on Cedar Street, he said.
Yeah, I guess the trucks attracted him. Anyway, he asked so many questions I had to shoo him off. That old fellow was a bug on fire equipment.
No, he's not, Chief. He's not.
What do you mean? The boys had trouble keeping him off the truck while we checked that false alarm.
Did you find out who turned it in?
No, we didn't. Say, are you hinting...
All I know is Mr. Darby also pretended he was interested in fire trucks this afternoon, but he didn't know a pumper from a hook and ladder.
Well, lots of people don't. I can't see...
But I can. I can see everything now.
You mean... Jimmy, you know how that doggone snuff box just up and vanished?
Sure, it's easy. You come downstairs and I'll show you.
You're not telling me it's still down there.
Oh, gosh, no. I can't even prove anything. And you'll have to help me after I explain.
Explain what?
About the jade snuff box. I know where it is now. And I know how it got there.
Let's go, son.
A moment later, Chief Cody is surprised when Jimmy walks right past the assortment of old furniture in boxes holding the bric-a-brac that's been collected for the junior firefighter sale.
Now, look, son. I know how interested you are in firefighting equipment, but we've got no time to waste.
Right now, Chief, I'm interested in this truck because it's the one Mr. Darby was interested in this afternoon.
The pumper? Why?
I think I know. We were standing pretty close to it when I showed him the snuff box. And you should have seen his eyes pop out when he saw it.
Well, it's a mighty fine pumper, if I do say so myself.
Ah, gee whiz, Chief, I'm talking about the snuff box. He wanted it awful bad.
If it's as valuable as you say, $10 wasn't much to offer you for it.
But he was trying then to keep me from knowing what he'd found.
Still, when you told him the sale hadn't started yet, he asked you to save it for him, Jimmy.
Well, that's where he made his mistake. When Mr. Darby saw I wondered why he wanted it so badly, he changed the subject right off.
To the truck here, huh?
Yeah, he made like he knew all about it. But boy, was he dumb. I'm trying to think what we talked about. Let's see, I told him how the truck engine acted as the pressure pump. And we talked about the size of the hose. That's it.
For Pete's sake, what's it?
He mentioned that big gauge hose on the side of the truck himself. Now I see why. He was looking for a place to hide that snuff box.
Oh, that would be a crazy place. How'd he know we wouldn't use that line?
Because I told him you wouldn't use one that big for the average fire, sir. And that decided him. He shoved that little box right down into the mouth of the hose.
And you let him do it? Well, that's nonsense.
There was an alarm, remember? I went over to check with the man at the desk and see where it was. Mr. Darby took that box and hid it the minute my back was turned.
Then, when you came back, he made sure you'd know he didn't have it on him, and he walked out.
Right. Boy, is he a smart old cookie, Chief.
Well, there's just one thing. How'd he figure he could get back in here and pick it up when he wanted to?
He didn't have to. He knew you'd deliver it to him, sir.
Me? Now, look here, young man.
Oh, gee whiz, I don't say you know anything about it. But all he had to do was ring in that false alarm. This truck answered it. He hung around asking questions until he saw his chance to take it out of the hose.
Well, I'll be hornswoggled. I'll bet you're right.
Of course I am. It isn't in the hose now. You can reach in yourself just like I did.
He uses my department to steal a snuff box worth a fortune. Oh, wait till I get my hands on him. Come along, son. I'm going to phone Mr. Lucius P. Darby and ask him a thing or two right this minute. Now, you see, Jimmy, I don't figure this old gentleman for a regular crook from what you say about him.
Trudy thought he maybe just couldn't resist taking it. And not because it was valuable, but because it was so rare.
Well, that's why I'm phoning him. We'll give him a chance to explain. If he doesn't, we'll go to the police.
Hello, Lucius P. Darby Antique Shop.
Oh, this is Chief Cody, Mr. Darby. I talked with you at that false alarm less than an hour ago, remember?
Oh, of course. Now, about the proper size hose in a case...
Now, look, I didn't call you to discuss firefighting. That snuff box you were interested in this afternoon.
Oh, yes, the fleur-de-lis pattern in jade. Unquestionably French. A pretty little trifle, I thought.
Trifle? You know better than that. You're a dealer. And we know now what you discovered. That snuff box is a museum piece. It was a gift to King Louis XIV of France, and it's been stolen.
Well, in that case, why don't you take it up with Louis? It's no concern of mine.
But a false alarm is my concern, Mr. Darby. You took that snuff box this afternoon and arranged things so I delivered it to you.
My dear sir, there's a young friend of mine named Jimmy Collins, and he can prove to you that I did nothing of the kind.
Maybe you didn't walk out with it, but Jimmy's as sure as I am that you hid it on my truck.
Wonderful imagination young people have today.
Now listen, Mr. Darby, I don't want to go to the police.
I don't blame you. Firstly, they wouldn't believe a ridiculous story like this. And if they did, I'd sue you for false arrest, slander, and anything else that occurred to me. Good evening.
Now, wait a minute.
Chief Cody, if I didn't live in back of my shop, you would not have reached me at this hour.
Look, I'm coming down to your shop.
You won't find me here. I was just about to leave for a weekend in the country. My dog, you know, needs plenty of fresh air. Goodbye, Chief Cody.
Well, how do you like that? He hung up, Jimmy. Come on.
Gee whiz, where are we going, Chief?
To Mr. Darby's shop, and in a hurry, before he gets away. Let's roll, son.
Boy, I never went to a fire in the cheese car before.
We're not going to a fire.
Oh, this is just as exciting.
And now I've cooled off a bit. It's kind of foolish, too. He'll be gone by the time we get there, I'm afraid.
We're making awful good time.
There's just a bare chance. I tell you, Jimmy, he's got us just where he wants us. We haven't got a shred of proof to give to the police.
Well, what if we find the snuff box in his shop?
Well, if he's not there, if the door's locked and the light's out, we're stuck again. We'd have to have a search warrant and policemen to break in.
Well, suppose it was an emergency.
Well, trouble seems to follow you around, son. I'll admit that. But even you can't count on an emergency to get us into that shop if Mr. Darby's gone.
But we're the ones whose fault it is that snuff box got lost.
Yeah. I can just see what the reporters would do with a story like this. Will I be in the doghouse?
Come on, step on it, Chief. We gotta get there in time.
In the back of his shop, meanwhile, Mr. Lucius P. Darby has turned out all the lights except one inside a huge vault which is open. Right now, he's bent over a dial on the steel door to it, adjusting it carefully and muttering to himself.
Smart boy, that Jimmy Collins. I knew it the minute I saw him. Figured things out to a T. The only thing he hasn't got is proof. I saw to that. I'll set this time lock for Monday morning and just forget all about it. There. Nobody could get in here no matter what. And that includes you, boy. Come on. Get out of there. Do I have to go in after you? All right. Go on. No, get. That's better. And now I'm in here, maybe I could take just one more look at the fleur-de-lis snuff box. Imagine my running across it like that. It's priceless. A thing like that shouldn't be bought and sold. It should be kept to be admired. None of them could appreciate it except me. They deserve to lose it. I never did a thing like this in my life. It was wrong, but, well, stop acting like an old fool, Darby. You did it on the spur of the moment, and it's too late to start blaming yourself. Are you back in here, boy? Get out. I don't feel like playing. Dog's got no sense, always. Get away from that door, boy. Get away. Oh, good heavens, he pushed that door closed. I'm locked in here. I'll suffocate. Nobody knows I'm in here. Whatever I did, I don't deserve this. I don't deserve this.
Well, in a way, it does seem as though Mr. Darby faces a more terrible punishment than he deserves. Of course, Chief Cody and Jimmy are on their way, but won't they think he's gone for the weekend when they arrive? And even if they knew he was in the vault, what could they do in the face of an already set time lock? Well, we'll see what happens when you listen to the next exciting episode of The Firefighters. In a minute, Chief Cody will tell you, boys and girls, of a way to help the firefighters in your town. But first, here's an important announcement. Now, Chief Bob Cody and a special notice for all firefighters. Chief Cody.
Hello, boys and girls. It's probably your job to mow the lawn. But always remember one thing. Keep that dry grass away from buildings and fences. Always finish your job by raking it up. Dry grass and leaves left near buildings can be a menace. Until next time, this is Chief Cody saying, so long.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's roll. Let's go. Firefighters.
The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to juvenile division. You get a call from one of the bus line terminals in your city. A 7-week-old baby has been abandoned in the depot waiting room. There's no sign of the mother. No lead to her whereabouts. Your job? Find her.
Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
Prove Fatima quality yourself.
You'll find Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
You'll find Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
And in Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Definitely the best quality in its class, but the same price as the cigarette you're now smoking.
Buy Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, August 14th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Juvenile Division. My partner's Ed Jacobs. The boss is Captain Stein, Commander, Juvenile Division. My name's Friday. We were on the way out from the office, and it was 11:05 a.m. when we got to the corner of 6th and Los Angeles streets, the bus depot. Excuse me, ma'am. You Mrs. Lewis?
Yes, that's right. Are you the police?
Yes, ma'am. This is my partner, Sergeant Jacobs. My name's Friday, Juvenile Division.
Well, how do you do? I'm certainly glad you're here. I've been waiting around this depot for hours. I don't know what to do.
Baby must be getting pretty heavy, ma'am. Like to sit down over here and tell us about it?
All right, thank you. That's all right, honey. You sleep now. Sleepy, bye. poor thing's just a shame.
Yes, ma'am. The report we got didn't go into detail. Some woman left the baby with you, is that right?
Yes, as soon as we got off the bus this morning. She said she'd only be gone a few minutes. It's been hours. I don't know what to do.
Well, did you know the woman, Mrs. Lewis?
Her name's Dorothy Miller. She's from Arizona, Tucson. We got off the bus, and she asked me if I'd hold her baby while she went to get her luggage. She said she'd meet me right there by the information desk. I've been waiting ever since. She hasn't come back. I don't know what to think of it.
Now, how well do you know this Dorothy Miller, ma'am?
Well, not too well, but she seemed like such a nice girl. Friendly and very sociable. We sat together all the way in.
You got on the bus with her, Tucson, is that it?
Oh, no. I'm from Cincinnati. I got on the bus there and then went down to Dallas. Had a visit with an aunt of mine down there.
I see.
And I got another bus at Dallas to come out here. Went along the southern route. Very nice. Same bus I came in on this morning. I'm out here to meet my husband, Army man. He's coming in on a transport from overseas. Coming in tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Now, you say this Dorothy Miller boarded the bus at Tucson with the baby. She rode all the way into Los Angeles with you.
Yes, right into the depot. She sat in the seat next to mine. We struck up a conversation. Got to be quite good friends. He's such a cute baby. I just can't imagine.
Well, how'd the Miller woman seem to you, Miss Lewis? All right? I mean, was there anything odd about her behavior? Anything unusual?
No, nothing at all. Seemed to me to be a perfect mother. Took good care of the baby. Wonderful care. That's what's so upsetting. For her to go off like this. Leave her baby with a stranger. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, now, you say you talked to this Dorothy Miller quite a bit along the way, ma'am.
I beg your pardon? What was that?
Maybe if we move out the car, Joe, it'd be a lot easier to talk out there.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Ms. Lewis, would you mind coming along with us to our cars parked just down the street? Should be a little quieter there, huh?
Yes, all right. I have these two valises.
All right, I'll get them, ma'am.
Oh, thank you.
Be out this way, please. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Pardon me.
Sorry?
Pardon us, please. Help you with one of those answers?
No, that's okay.
Just down the street here, ma'am.
Oh, my. Isn't it a beautiful day? What a shame. All this trouble.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you make it all right, Miss Lewis?
Oh, yes, I think so.
I'll slip the valises in back. There's plenty of room there.
Yeah, okay.
Give your hand. Okay. Now, about this Miller woman, Miss Lewis, I was going to ask you.
Yes?
Well, did she happen to tell you where she lived in Tucson, if she had any people there, any family?
No, I don't recall anything like that. She talked about some of the girlfriends she had there, their babies. She didn't mention any of them by name, though.
How about her description, Mrs. Lewis? Anything unusual there?
No, I wouldn't say so. Small girl, 5'3" or 4", I'd say. 110 or 15 pounds, dark hair, shoulder length, dark eyes, nice complexion. Very pretty eyes.
About how old would you say?
20. That's what she told me, anyway. She said she had a birthday in May. I remember we talked about that. She was born under the same sign I was, Taurus the Bull.
Mm-hmm. And all the talk you had with this Miller girl, she never gave you any reason to think that anything was wrong with her? Didn't seem to be despondent, depressed about anything?
Perfectly normal girl, as far as I could tell. I just can't get over it. I can't imagine her doing anything like this.
Well, how'd she seem this morning when you got in on the bus? Pretty much the same?
Yes, I think so. We got off the bus together. She had her hands full with the baby, so I helped her off with the hand valise she was carrying. When we got inside the waiting room, she mentioned that she had to go pick up some luggage from the check stand. She asked me if I'd mind very much holding her baby while she went after him. I said no, not at all. She went around the corner of the baggage stand, and that's the last I saw of her.
You checked around the depot, did you? And you had her paid?
I talked to everyone in the place. The porters, ticket clerks, information desk, traveler's aid. Not one of them could help. I tried everybody. Oh, dear. It's all right now. We'll find your mother. Yes. You try and sleep. Sleep some more now. Wonderful. He's adorable. It's a little boy. She said his name's Stephen.
Yes, ma'am. Well, you say you've been waiting around the depot 3 hours. Has the baby been fed?
Yes, this hand valise the Miller girl gave me to hold. I found a bottle full of formula in it. The man at the coffee shop warmed it for me. The little fella here finished it off. The way he eats, I guess he'll be wanting some more pretty soon.
I guess we better get back in, huh?
Yeah, I guess so.
Can't imagine it. I just can't imagine it.
Ma'am?
And this little boy, just look at him.
Yes, ma'am.
Her own baby. So small and helpless. How could she go off and leave him?
Well, I guess she had a reason. Must have been important.
A 7-week-old baby? What's more important than that?
Before we left the bus depot, Ed contacted the clerk at the depot information desk and left our card with him. If anyone came in to make inquiries about the abandoned child, he was to advise them to get in touch with us. 11:48 a.m. The woman who'd been left with the baby, Mrs. Marjorie Lewis, agreed to return to the office with us and give us a complete report on everything she knew about the case. As soon as we got back, we briefed Captain Stein on what happened, and he assigned policewoman Betty Stone to come in and help out with the baby. A cursory examination seemed to indicate there was nothing abnormal about the baby, no apparent deformities. We checked the blanket and the baby's clothing, but we found no identifying marks of any use to us. Policewoman Stone made the baby comfortable for the time being, and then she began to check through the contents of the small valise which the baby's mother had left with Mrs. Lewis. It contained the usual assortment: baby oil, powder, dextrose, a few cans of milk, a couple of blankets, and a supply of diapers. Ed and I continued to interview Mrs. Lewis.
This the Miller woman's first baby, do you know, or did she happen to mention it?
Yes, it's her first. That's what she told me, anyway.
Did you talk about the baby's health at all? Was there any trouble there, would you know?
Well, she did say she had some trouble with the formula at first. It didn't seem to suit the baby. Wasn't anything serious, though. As a matter of fact, that does worry me a little bit, Sergeant.
What's that?
The baby's formula. Mrs. Miller did say it had to be fixed a special way. Some special medicine she put in it, too. Are you sure the baby's going to get good care?
Yes, ma'am. There's no need to worry. He'll be moved to General Hospital. I'll look after him.
But the special formula, the medicine she was giving him, will they know about that? Will they know how to feed him?
Well, they've handled cases like this before, Ms. Lewis. They're pretty competent people. They'll know what to do.
I surely hope so. I don't know why I'm so concerned. I guess it's just the little fellow's so small, all alone, so helpless. Terrible shame.
Yes, ma'am. About this special formula the baby has to have, what's the reason for that? Would you know? The baby been sick recently?
No, I don't think so. Mrs. Miller did say he was a little sickly when he was born, spent a little time in an incubator. I don't believe it was critical, though. At least I didn't gather that.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Lewis. Appreciate your cooperation, everything you've done on this.
Not at all, Sergeant. I only wish I could be more help.
You mind telling us where you'll be stopping in town, ma'am? Possible we might have to contact you again.
Well, I don't have any reservations. I was thinking of staying at a hotel close to downtown.
There's a big convention in town. Most of the places are pretty crowded. We'd be glad to help you find a hotel space if you like.
Oh, well, that's certainly very nice of you.
Not at all.
Sergeant Friday, could I see you a minute, please?
Yes, all right. Would you excuse me, please?
Surely.
Yeah, Betty.
For a policewoman, I'm not bad at checking diapers.
How do you mean?
Over here. The valise the mother left with Mrs. Lewis.
Mm-hmm. Did you come up with anything?
Didn't think so at first. Went over the valise, everything inside, nothing. And I started putting the things back in the bag. Found this and that stack of diapers there.
Mm-hmm.
Paid receipt for a hospital bill. Maternity ward.
Santa Maria Hospital, Tucson.
There's the patient's name right there at the top.
Mm-hmm. Dorothy Miller. 12:30 p.m. A local broadcast at an APB was gotten out on Dorothy Miller. And then we sent a communication to the Tucson Police Department laying out the story for them and asking them to check with the Santa Maria Hospital there for a possible lead on the missing mother. Meantime, the baby was removed to General Hospital. We found accommodations for Mrs. Lewis at a downtown hotel. We dropped her off there, and then we drove back to the bus depot on 6th Street. We tried to locate the driver of the bus on which the Miller woman and her baby had arrived that morning. We were told he was off duty and that he wouldn't report back until 8 o'clock the following morning. We left our card along with a message for the driver, asking him to contact us as soon as he returned. For the rest of the afternoon, Ed and I, along with the 2 other men from Juvenile Division, checked with all the bus depot personnel, but we were unable to turn up any kind of a lead. After that, we started making the rounds of the hotels, bars, restaurants, and taxicab stands in the neighborhood. The same results, nothing. 7:55 a.m. the following morning, I reported back in for work.
Morning, Joe.
Hi, Betty. Ed check in yet?
Uh-huh. Went out for a minute, so he'll be right back.
What do you know? Anything new?
Communication for you from the Tucson PD. Kick back on that query you got off to him yesterday. Think Ed left it in your box.
Oh, thanks, Betty. I'll get it. Mm-hmm. Did you see this?
Ed showed it to me, yeah. Confirms the fact the woman had her baby in that hospital. Still not much help, though.
Yeah, I see. They checked out her last known address in Tucson. She moved. No forwarding address. No line on her relatives or friends.
The day the baby was born seems to check out.
Mm-hmm. June 24th. Makes the baby just about 7 weeks old, doesn't it? This part here doesn't make much sense, though, does it?
The Miller girl's description?
Yeah. Ms. Lewis said Dorothy Miller was small and dark, long dark hair, dark eyes. People at the hospital describe her as being blonde, fairly tall, blue eyes, long blonde hair, about 29, 30 years old.
Mrs. Lewis said the Miller girl just turned 20, didn't she?
Yeah, that's what she said. Sure doesn't figure.
A little too much to write off as coincidence. 2 Dorothy Millers having babies. Same day, same hospital.
No, I just happened to think. This description of the Miller girl.
Uh-huh.
Fairly tall, long blonde hair. Ms. Lewis has long blonde hair, hasn't she?
Benny? Oh, hi, Joe.
Hi, what's doing?
That bus driver we wanted to talk to, the one who drove the bus Dorothy Miller and the baby came in on yesterday? That description Miss Lewis gave us of Dorothy Miller? Mm-hmm. Driver doesn't remember anyone like that on his bus. He remembered Miss Lewis, though. She didn't get on the bus at Dallas. She didn't sit next to a young girl with a baby either. Driver says he's sure of it.
Well, and what's the pitch?
Miss Lewis got on the bus at Tucson. She had a baby in her arms.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Fatima, America's first, largest-selling blended cigarette. Now king size. The only king-size cigarette that makes you this money-back guarantee.
Buy a pack of Fatimas. Enjoy Fatima quality, extra mildness, and superbly blended tobaccos.
If you're not convinced Fatima is better than the king-size cigarette you're now smoking, just return the pack and the unsmoked Fatimas by August 1st, 1952, for your money back plus postage. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1.
Buy Fatima. Compare them with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs. 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
And you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, more smokers now insist on Fatima quality than ever before. Buy Fatima. In Fatima, the difference is quality. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
8:35 a.m. Ed Jacobs and I went into the adjoining room where we continued to interview the bus driver, the same man who'd been driving the bus on which Mrs. Lewis and the abandoned baby and his mother supposedly had arrived in Los Angeles the day before. The more we talked to the driver, the more he convinced us that the story we'd gotten from Mrs. Marjorie Lewis was a long way from the truth. He repeated that he was absolutely sure that Mrs. Lewis did not get on the bus at Dallas, that she boarded the bus at Tucson, and that at the time she got on, she was holding a baby in her arms. He was just as positive that Mrs. Lewis held the baby in her arms all the way to Los Angeles, and that she did not sit next to a young, dark-haired girl, but an elderly woman. He also told us that none of his passengers on that particular trip fitted the description of Dorothy Miller as given us by Mrs. Lewis. 8:50 a.m. Before the bus driver left, we got his address and a phone number where we could get in touch with him if necessary. 9:05 a.m. Ed and I got in the car, drove to the downtown hotel where Mrs. Lewis was staying, and called her room from the phone in the lobby. She told us that her husband, Army Captain Walter Lewis, had arrived in from overseas earlier that morning and checked in at the hotel. I asked her if her husband was with her, but she said no. He was downstairs at the hotel barber shop. Ed and I got in the elevator and went up to see her. Outside and down in the street, you could hear the sounds of a parade passing by. It was American Legion Convention Week, the traditional parade. Some parade, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Oh, good morning, officers. Come in, please.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
What happened? Did you find out anything?
Well, a few things, ma'am. We've been checking around. 2 or 3 more questions we'd like to ask you, if you don't mind.
Well, no, not at all. How's the baby? Are they taking care of him? Is he all right?
Yes, ma'am. He's fine. We checked at the hospital. He's doing real well.
Oh, I'm glad. And the Miller girl, Dorothy Miller, did you find out anything?
We haven't been able to locate her. No trace for her at all. That's why we're here, Miss Lewis. A few things we'd like to have you straighten out for us.
Well, I'll do anything I can to help. I think I already told you everything I could remember about the girl.
Well, now, we're going to be honest with you, Miss Lewis. We don't think you're telling the truth.
What? Well, I don't understand.
We talked to the man who was driving the bus you came in on yesterday, the same bus you say Dorothy Miller and her baby were on.
Yes, that's right.
Well, the bus driver couldn't remember the Miller girl. Told us none of his passengers even came close to her description.
Well, there was quite a few people on the bus. I guess you can't blame him for not remembering her.
He remembered you, Miss Lewis. You were sitting near the front of the bus. He doesn't remember anyone with a baby sitting next to you, though.
I guess he made a mistake. He can't remember everything.
Well, he said you were holding the baby.
I don't understand this. What is it you're trying to find out?
Well, when we talked to you yesterday, you told us that you got on the bus at Dallas. Isn't that right?
Yes. What would that have to do with it?
Well, the bus driver says you got on at Tucson. He seemed to remember it pretty well. He says when you got on the bus, you were holding a baby in your arms.
Well, that's silly. He's wrong. He must have me confused with somebody else.
I don't see how, ma'am. He says you were the only woman on the bus with a baby.
What's the point of this, Sergeant? I don't understand any of this.
Well, frankly, neither do we. I don't know why you're lying to us about this, but apparently you are.
You're wrong. I'm not lying. It happened just the way I told you. The girl gave me the baby to hold, and then she disappeared. There's no reason for me to lie about that.
We found a receipt for a hospital bill in that valise with the baby's things in it. The receipt was made out to Dorothy Miller.
Well, that proves it, doesn't it? She was on the bus with me, and her baby was with her.
The check was made with the hospital at Tucson. They remembered the name Dorothy Miller. She gave birth to a baby boy about 7 weeks ago. She wasn't the same girl you described to us, though. Description wasn't even close.
Well, then it must be a mistake. I guess somebody made a mistake. I can't understand any of this.
Well, they sent us back a description of the Dorothy Miller who stayed at the hospital. It was a fairly tall woman, long blonde hair, about 29 or 30.
Yes?
Description fits you, Miss Lewis. Fits almost perfectly.
Well, it's wrong. It has to be wrong. The whole thing's a mistake.
I beg your pardon?
I say the whole thing is a mistake. It has to be wrong.
No, I don't think so, ma'am.
Why don't you tell me? What do you think? Tell me, please.
There is no Dorothy Miller. There never was. There's no such person, ma'am.
That's what you really think? I invented it? I made it all up?
Did you?
And the baby? What about him? There's no Dorothy Miller. What about the baby?
I don't know. Do you want to tell us? Ms. Lewis?
Yes. Yes.
Miss Lewis, can I get something for you?
Thank you. I'm all right. I suppose I knew it would happen sometime. I tried not to think about it.
Yeah?
When you called from downstairs, I knew you'd found out. That's why you asked. My husband was with me, isn't it? You didn't want to embarrass me.
We wanted to give you a chance to tell your side of the story. Thought maybe you wanted to keep it from your husband.
No, it doesn't matter. I'll tell him. He'll be back in a few minutes. He can do anything he wants. I won't blame him. He'll pack his bags and walk out and leave, and I won't blame him.
All right, you want to tell us about it?
Well, I think you know. My baby. My own baby, and I couldn't keep him. There wasn't anything else to do. Nothing. My own baby.
You made up the whole story about the girl, Dorothy Miller, her leaving the baby with you? Ms. Lewis?
Such a beautiful day, isn't it? Big crowd for the parade. They lined all the way up the street.
You must have had a reason for it, Ms. Lewis, giving your baby away. Now, do you want to tell us about it?
Yes, all right. Won't make any difference. It's done. It's all done. It's my husband I'm thinking about, Walter. I'm going to have to hurt him, and I don't want to hurt him. I don't know how I'm going to tell him.
Tell him what, ma'am?
I tried to make him understand. All the time before he left for overseas. It was almost 2 years ago. I tried to make him understand. He wouldn't listen. He didn't believe me. He thought I was fooling.
Yes, ma'am.
I love him, Sergeant. I tried to explain. I didn't want to be alone, having him away all the time. I knew there was going to be trouble. I knew it. I didn't want to be alone. He didn't understand. He only said I was fooling.
Yes, ma'am.
He left for overseas in October, Walter, almost 2 years ago. I went down to Wilmington. I saw him leave on the boat. I stood there and watched him go. I wasn't going to see him. 24 months. I wouldn't see him. No children, no family. Just a 2-room apartment. If he only believed me. If he only would have taken me with him.
Where were you living at that time, ma'am?
Up the coast, just this side of Santa Barbara. I told Walter. I couldn't be alone. I needed something. If he only had children. If he'd only taken me with him. It didn't have to be this way. He could have taken me with him. He could have arranged it. He wouldn't. He left me here alone. I tried to tell him. He left me here alone.
Yes, ma'am.
I took it for a year. A whole year. 2-room apartment, being alone. I wrote to Walter twice a week. He wrote to me. It didn't do any good. He didn't want me with him. A whole year. And it got too much.
You mean you could have joined him overseas?
I don't know why. Kept writing to him. He kept putting me off a whole year. It got too much. 2-room apartment, alone. You can't spend your life that way. I started going out, having dates. I had to get out. Started going to parties, different people. Guess I drank too much. Didn't want to be alone. Guess I always drank too much.
Mm-hmm.
There's one party. Don't even remember who I went with. Guess it was drinking, I don't know. When I left, I don't even remember who I was with. It didn't have to be this way. It didn't have to happen like this.
Are you all right, Ms. Lewis? Or something we can get you?
No, I'm all right. I didn't know what to do when I found out. Saw the doctor. He didn't understand either. I mean, the way I felt. Said the baby would be born in June. I cried. He didn't understand.
Yes, ma'am.
When the time came, I went to Tucson, Arizona. Had my baby. At least I wasn't alone. Used a different name at the hospital. Dorothy Miller. Maybe it wasn't Walter's baby, but it was mine. It was mine. I thought at first it wouldn't make much difference, but it did, though. Did.
Yeah?
I knew what it'd mean. I loved Walter. I still love him. But if he found out I knew what it would mean, I couldn't even think about it. I love Walter. I couldn't even think about telling him.
So you figured on giving up the baby, huh? Giving him away, is that the idea?
I can't tell you how many times I worked it out in my mind, day after day. I almost went crazy with it. Walter, the baby, which one? I finally decided Walter. Don't you think it's fair? Don't you?
Well, I wouldn't know, ma'am. It's your decision. It's up to you.
I don't know how to tell him. Won't you help me, please? Help me tell Walter.
All right, if you like.
It's such a terrible thing. I mean, to make a choice when you have to hurt somebody. To have to choose between the two of them. One of them has to be hurt.
Ma'am?
My husband and my baby. Which one?
10:38 a.m. At Mrs. Lewis' request, Ed and I stayed on at the hotel room until her husband, Army Captain Walter Lewis, returned. He was a tall, dark-haired man in his late 30s, dark eyes, tan complexion. Mrs. Lewis was waiting in the adjoining room. It wasn't easy, but as best we could, Ed and I briefed the husband on what had happened. His first reaction was fairly normal. He took it pretty hard. We kept on talking to him. After a while, he calmed down. We laid out the whole story for him again.
She turned the baby over to the police, is that it? She gave the baby up?
Yes, sir. She figured it was the only thing she could do.
Kind of hard to believe, isn't it? What's the answer? What am I supposed to do?
Well, sir, I know it's none of our business, Captain. I think you might try looking at it from your wife's point of view, maybe.
What do you mean?
Well, it's pretty obvious. She's still in love with you. I think she's shown you that.
Yeah?
Well, she was in a jam. It was a big choice for her to make. She knew she was wrong. She made a mistake. She was ready to pay for it. It was either you or the baby. She knew that. She decided to give up the baby.
Baby's all right now? Somebody's taking care of him?
Yes, sir. Baby boy.
Where's Marge now, my wife?
In the next room.
I want to see her.
Well, maybe you should wait just a little while.
No, it's all right. Just want to tell her something.
Aren't you?
Marge?
What can I say, Walter? Sorry. Sorry, there isn't anything else I can say.
You don't have to say anything, Marge.
You can do what you want. I won't blame you. Got a right to do anything you want. I just want to tell you, Walter, I love you. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Sit down, Marge. Come on, sit down.
I won't blame you, Walter. Anything you do, I won't blame you.
It's going to be all right, honey. Nothing to cry about. Everything will be all right. Try and take it easy, dear. You got a little mistake here. I guess I made my share of it. It'll all work out. Officer?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask you a favor. You got a car downstairs?
Yes, sir, we do.
Wonder if you'd mind dropping us by the hospital. I'd like to see my son.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On Thursday, August 15th, a meeting was held in the District Attorney's Office, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that meeting.
And now here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, you've just heard the 130th consecutive Dragnet broadcast for Fatima. Now, the only reason we're able to bring you these programs is because so many of you have switched to Fatima. If you haven't tried Fatimas yet, I wish you'd do this. Buy a pack and compare them with the king-size cigarette you've been smoking. You'll find Fatima gives you an extra mild and soothing smoke. You'll like Fatima's better flavor and aroma. What's more, I kind of think you'll agree with me. Fatima's the best of all king-size cigarettes.
At the meeting in the District Attorney's Office, it was decided that in the interests of justice, no criminal complaint be filed against Mrs. Marjorie Lewis. The baby was released to the custody of her and her husband.
Ladies and gentlemen, Betty Mills, Western representative of Radio and Television Mirror magazine.
The editors of Radio and Television Mirror are happy to announce that in the annual awards poll conducted by Radio and TV Mirror magazine, American radio listeners from coast to coast have voted Dragnet their favorite program of its type for the second consecutive year. In addition, the nation's radio listeners have voted Jack Webb their favorite dramatic radio actor.
Thank you very much, Betty, on behalf of our cast, our entire production staff, and myself.
Be sure to read the feature story about Jack Webb in the current issue of Radio and Television Mirror magazine, now on the newsstands.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Barney Phillips, Virginia Gregg, Harry Bartell, Helen Cleve. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Next, it's Mr. Keene, Tracer of Lost Persons, on NBC.
My name's Regan. I get 10 a day in expenses from a detective bureau run by a guy named Anthony J. Lyon. They call me the Lion's Eye.
Jack Webb is Jeff Regan, Investigator. Hard-boiled action and mystery and thrilling adventure in tonight's story of the man who lived by the sea.
The next time you're out for a drive, pick up Olive Street along about the 700 block. You can't miss it. It's a big building made out of white granite. The Cosmopolitan Building. Anthony J. Lyon, the guy I work for, rents an office there. International Detective Bureau, Suite 308. A couple of rooms with a connecting wastebasket. The Lion has the only desk in the office and the typewriter that Remington dropped from their catalog back in 1915. I walked in about 11 o'clock last Tuesday morning. The room was loaded with taboo. She was a tall girl with a flock of black hair and a mink coat. The kind you see driving a Nash convertible down Sunset Boulevard on warm Sunday afternoons. No wonder the Lion's cigar was out. It was wet on both ends. He had one arm around her shoulders. He knew by this time that coat was the real article. There wasn't any music, but he didn't seem to mind.
Come on in, Regan.
Not much room to dance.
We got business.
She's your date.
This is Mr. Regan, Miss Kara.
How do you do, Mr. Regan? Mr. Lyon tells me you're just the man I want.
Well, he said the same thing to a mortician last week.
Miss Kara is associated with the famous psychic consultant Prince Nemo.
I help the prince look into people's minds.
Well, now, that ought to be fun if all your customers are under 6.
You don't believe in thought transference, Mr. Regan?
Do you?
Prince Nemo sent Miss Kara to retain an operator.
Why didn't he come himself?
Prince Nemo never appears in public.
He misses some good ball games.
He has television.
Yeah.
The prince prefers to spend his time in meditation and thought. I handle all of his outside contacts.
Regan, I want you to drive out to Prince Nemo's home in Ocean Town with Miss Kara and speak to the prince.
What kind of a retainer did he send you?
We don't discuss finances in front of clients.
Oh, this is another blind spot. You don't know what this guy wants.
He said it's a very delicate matter, and he wants to explain it to you himself.
Oh, sure. She waltzed in here with a check, and you'd sell your grandmother to a glue factory for $2.
Is there any way I can reassure you, Mr. Regan?
Buy me a battleship.
You got a license and a contract with International.
You want to tell me about it, lady?
Prince Nemo was very excited this morning. He called me in and told me to make the arrangement.
It's not enough script.
He never tells me anything. I just work for him. Will you please?
Yeah, all right.
Here's a nickel. Call me and tell me what's up.
Suppose I can't.
Then you got something for your piggy bank.
The lion stood there and watched us leave. He looked happy, like a hobo in a bubble bath. Well, we went downstairs. We climbed into her convertible. The guy in the parking lot had to take a walk around the block when she flashed him a smile. I asked her about lunch. She said no. I asked her about dinner. She said something that meant no. It's like that sometimes. The flag's up, the meter's ticking, and you get nowhere. But from a couple of things she told me, I got the idea that she was doing more than help the prince read minds. His place turned out to be a good hour from Los Angeles up 101. A couple of stories of glass and concrete leaning out over the ocean. Inside, a guy in a white turban and some pants that looked like oversized diapers put his hand on a big curved knife he had in his belt. He was wearing tennis shoes.
Right this way, Mr. Regan.
Butcher?
That's Guinea, the prince's manservant. He's from India.
I bet the Indians were glad to get rid of him.
Guinea's harmless, tongueless, and he doesn't hear. I like you, Mr. Regan. And this is the prince's study.
Come in. Oh, come in.
This is Mr. Regan.
Of course. Welcome, sir. Welcome. The Lion's Eye. I'm honored, sir. Please sit down. That'll be all, Lena?
Of course. I'll be in my office.
Charming girl, Lena.
She handle all your outside contacts?
Except for those matters I must attend to personally. Mr. Regan, I'm in trouble.
It's paid for.
I want you to save my life.
You look healthy.
I am healthy, let me assure you. But my life has been threatened.
They got police department.
I thought you understood. This is a delicate matter. We aren't here to discuss me.
Who's the guy?
It's a lady, Mr. Regan. A very beautiful and lovely creature. And she'd like nothing better than to see my carcass go out with the tide.
How do you know?
She's erratic, ill-tempered, and ruthless.
Any more?
Yes, she called me this morning and told me what she intended to do.
You got a chance to reach for your gun.
To reach for you, Mr. Regan. Now, I feel the entire matter could be settled amicably if you were to call on her and inform her you are my personal bodyguard and that you are here to protect my life.
What makes you figure she'd go for that?
It's worth a try. And besides, I'm paying.
Mm-hmm. Now tell me how long you've been blackmailing her.
Blackmail? What do you mean?
Oh, your racket might last 6 months, a year, but not long enough to build a place like this. The answer's blackmail.
My dear fellow, Okay, so I should have told you.
Give it to me.
Well, I can slip them into a trance. They spill a family secret or two.
What kind of secret?
Any kind. They want their minds read. I read them. $25 a hit.
Where does the shakedown come in?
When I tell them what they told me.
You been putting a squeeze on her?
She's an actress. She was in on a deal with the studios.
And she won't shake.
She said she'd blow my head off. Look, I'm in a spot rig, and she's the kind who'd do it and make love to the jury.
Give me a name.
Doris Patrick. Ever heard of her?
Where's she live?
Palisades. Here's her address.
All right.
You going over to talk to her now?
Well, she isn't gunning for me.
Oh, thanks a lot, Regan. You know, I've been sweating.
It's real good for a cold.
Yeah, I'll try and catch one.
You guys yell real loud when they answer back.
I'm just thinking of my future, Regan. I won't look good dead.
I left him sitting there scratching his bald head under his turban. He looked unhappy, like somebody fed him a Vaseline sandwich. Well, I climbed in my car, and I followed the highway to the turnoff back to Sunset. The Malibu fog was coming in for the winter, and by the time I got to the address Nemo'd given me, I was looking around for my hands. Doris Patrick's place was too big for a marble game and too small for football. There was a wire fence all around it and a sign every 15 or 20 feet or so that said, "Not to trespass." I parked in the boulevard and walked up the driveway. It was about then that a guy in a blue suit showed up. He was tall and heavy, and he caught a lot of his hat. He pulled down on the brim, blew smoke in my face, and kind of nudged me with his shoulder.
Well, go on, Pilgrim. We don't want any.
How do you know?
We're waiting for the 49s. Scram, huh?
You aren't even on the list.
All right, we'll wait for the 50s. Blow.
I came to see Doris Patrick.
Yeah, what for?
You, her?
Sure. What do you want?
Business.
Shop closed.
You always like this, or you miss lunch today?
Look, I don't know who you are, Pilgrim, but you don't understand English.
Well, I know you. There's something about a guy in the lineup.
Yeah?
He memorizes easy.
Cop?
Private.
Drive of the city, you all smell the same to me.
Hunting season's over. You always carry a .38, do you?
Oh, that's showing?
Well, maybe you got a broken rib.
Well, I met all kinds of funny guys.
I said I wanted to see her.
Ain't in.
Watchdog?
Now you're getting smart.
Well, you aren't.
What kind of crack is that?
Just this. I'm going in.
Trick I learned a long time ago. You shoot a guy in the knee and he don't ever walk straight again.
Ever done it, punk?
Oh, sure. That's how I learned.
That's when I learned, baby. He slumped against the side of the wall, and he looked tired, like he'd been running from Compton. Well, I left him there, and I went up the driveway to the porch. Coming around a blind corner, I bumped into something that kind of relaxed and rolled into me. It was a blonde girl, about 25, in a white polo coat. I was willing to try it again, but she began talking with a voice that was deep enough to go in the oil business.
Oh, I thought you might be running interference, but you look like the whole team.
Whose side are you on, lady?
I keep score.
Doris Patrick?
You're on the right field.
Where's the locker room?
Maybe I like you. Where do you come from?
Right here.
Didn't know we raised your kind anymore. Or did you go wild?
Do I pass?
What'd you say your name was?
Regan.
Welcome.
Mm-hmm. Which highway?
Straight ahead. To the den.
Nice place you got. When's harvest time?
I said welcome.
That isn't what the tall boy said.
Tall boy?
A blue suit with a .38 and a hat.
That'd be Jesse. I was married to him once.
What about now?
Oh, he hangs around like that sometimes. I never see much of him. Trouble?
No, not much.
You got a lot of size, mister. Must have been good. Do that kind of thing often?
Only when I have to.
Sit down. How do you like it? Soda or water?
Your way.
There now. Isn't that better?
I don't know. This is my first drink.
You'll get another. It's a cold day.
Nothing here.
You're quick. Must have a good straight man.
His name's Prince Nemo.
Must we talk about him?
He thinks you're dangerous stuff.
What do you think?
Right now or when I'm a couple of feet away?
Now.
Hey, now look. Remember me? I just got here.
Your name's Regan, and we're going to get along.
Yeah.
It's in the cards.
You got a fast deck.
Go ahead. Deal.
All right. How much time between rounds?
Yes? Who? Oh, just a minute. You know somebody named Lion?
Yeah.
He has quite a roar. Here.
Yeah.
Who's the name? Where's the phone?
Nemo's friend.
Sounds like he's a friend of yours.
All right, you got something to say?
It's all off.
Check bounce?
It was certified. Nemo called 10 minutes ago and canceled the contract.
Now, what happens now?
Finish, come back to the office.
Who told you I was here?
The Prince.
It was a quick change.
We got paid.
Well, I already started something.
I don't care what you started. You finish it on your own time. Next bench sheet.
Bad news?
Well, I'm through working for the day. Well, I was an old friend of the family when I left. She didn't want me to go, but I was thinking about Prince Nemo and the way that nothing made sense. The whole thing looked phony, like an undertaker in a white derby. It didn't take 20/20 vision to see that somebody was getting anxious to make a play. Well, by the time I got home, I figured I was out of it. But my company had other ideas. It was Jesse, and he had friends.
You should lock your door, Regan.
Why? You'd crawl under.
All right, fellas.
Friends?
Yeah, I just hired him.
You got a parade permit?
Stan, say hello to Regan.
Hello, stupid.
What about Skinny?
Hiya, Grogan.
Name's Regan. He's a detective. Isn't that right? You're pretty good with your women, Regan.
You know, you look lonesome, Jesse. You got something to say?
Stay away from it.
You're shaking. You want a drink?
Already had one. Stan, Skinny, set him on a bed.
Let go.
Oh, Regan, once more. Once more. Stay away from it.
You said that before.
I want to make sure you understand. Stan, Skinny, hold his arms. I've said all the right words. Maybe my punctuation's bad, huh? Lay off. Period. Lay off. Period. Lay off. Period. Okay. Okay, leave him on the bed.
Hey, he rolled off.
Oh, that's fine. Fine. Now he won't have to change his sheets.
Oh, Jesse was good. When I got up, my face looked like a relief map of Pasadena. He was wearing a signet ring. He left out some of the boulevards, but the Rose Bowl was right out in front. I found a drink in the cabinet, and I started for the mirror to see what was left. It was about then I heard a knock on the door. It was a little guy in a cab driver's suit. It figured that he got the job because they ran out of big uniforms. They double-crossed him on that cap. If it wasn't for his ears, he'd have been wearing a snood.
Hiya.
Yeah?
Football?
What do you want?
Your name, Regan?
That's what it says in the mailbox.
I'm not a friend of yours today.
Get to the point, will you?
A dame. Named Lima Cara. Yeah, Lima Cara. Some dish.
All right. You're in the register.
Wait, that ain't all. She wants to see you.
What about?
Didn't say. Just said to see if you was home. You home?
Yeah.
I got her down in my cab.
We'll send her up.
I don't think she can make it.
What do you mean?
She looks kind of funny. Maybe you better come down.
She was sitting on the edge of the seat, staring out at nothing. Her back was as stiff as a filing cabinet, and there was a little ring of white around her lips. I paid off the cabbie, and I took her back up to my place without a word. When we closed the door, she was sitting on my sofa the same way. Only this time she had a .25 automatic in her hand.
Well?
Where'd you get the gun, lady?
Gun? Oh, this? I bought it for $30.
Can I see it?
Oh, yes, Mr. Regan. I brought it so I could show it to you.
Mm-hmm.
I paid $30 for it. $30 for it.
Yep. Brand new, isn't it?
Oh, yes, of course. Did you know Prince Nemo was my husband?
Since when?
Long time now. Not many people know that.
Did you come here to tell me that?
No, I came to tell you that you don't have to worry anymore.
About what?
About my husband hired you for?
Well, I've already been called off.
Oh, I didn't know that. Did you meet Doris Patrick?
Yeah.
And it was about her.
What do you want, lady?
Nothing. Nothing at all. Just that we don't have to worry anymore, do we?
Tell me about the gun.
Doris is very pretty, don't you think? Seen her on the screen many times. And she's quite pretty. Could hardly blame the prince at all. Could hardly.
Why'd you bring the gun?
I imagine the air would be cleaner there, don't you?
What are you talking about?
Really very humane, they tell me.
Come on, stop it.
Just like sitting down and never waking up. I read all about it. Just walk in and sit down. You don't try to hold your breath.
Stop it, sis. Stop it. Now, listen to me. What is it? What have you done? What are you trying to say?
You don't try to hold your breath. You go right to sleep, don't you?
You're trying to tell me that you killed him?
They don't make such a great deal of noise, do they? They've been sitting there in his house by the sea. He looked very much alive, only... He isn't alive at all. Tell me, Mr. Regan, tell me. Do I make a good murderer? Do I?
Well, after she got through screaming, she settled down to a slow, even kind of giggle that started somewhere around her shoelaces and didn't get past her knees. Gave me a feeling like somebody was unwrapping an atomic bomb under a Christmas tree. Well, she wasn't going to do any more talking, so I went downstairs and brought back a doctor friend of mine named Sammy Wing. He had his little black bag with him, and he gave her a shot of something. She wilted like last night's orchid and went to sleep. Sammy wrote down a couple of things, and then he looked up at me.
Some playmate. Wish I'd have been here for the party.
How is she, Sam?
You know her better than me.
Oh, is she going to be all right?
In 4 or 5 hours, she'll wake up and want some water.
And then what?
She might ask you what happened, or it might start all over again. By the way, what was it?
I don't know. She came over to see me.
I should have visitors like this. I've been working too hard.
She said she killed a guy who was a client of mine.
Maybe I'm lucky at that. Why the past tense?
The Lion called me off the case.
Official, huh?
Yeah.
You've got nobody to protect. Where's the corpse?
At a house in Ocean Town.
Here, call the police. And you and me can go out and do our Christmas shopping.
Oh, she said she used this gun.
A .25, it killed people.
No, Sammy, there's a bullet jammed in the chamber.
Dames don't know how to reload.
It hasn't been fired.
Ballistics got better ways of telling. She's pretty and she's nice, and I'll bet she looks like $1 million in a bathing suit. But if I'd have met her within the last 3 hours, I'd have run for help.
Is that professional?
Acute hysteria. The kind that pops off guns and people and does a lot of things they can't remember later on. Call Sanducci.
Look, it doesn't figure she'd do it with this.
Maybe she had another one. While you're at it, call the coroner. Tell him to go out there with some DOA forms.
No, I'm going first.
Corpse hunt?
Just an idea.
Labrucherie had an idea.
Yeah.
This dame's bipped somebody, and she's told you her story.
Well, I don't like it.
What do they do when a private eye messes up an open and shut murder case?
Sammy, stay with her, will you? There's some bourbon out in the kitchen.
Maybe both of us will get our pictures in the papers.
I left him sitting there. He looked sad, like a water buffalo caught in a drought. I pushed through the fog for about 40 minutes, and I pulled up in front of Nemo's place in Ocean Town about 9:30. It was dark enough to give a ghost the creeps. I used that ring of keys that I'd taken from her purse, and I went inside. It smelled dry and still, like somebody was waiting for the world to fall apart. I clicked on my flash, and I walked down the long hall to his office. Well, he was there, just like she said. There were 3 holes in the front of his shirt, close range, but it wasn't the laundry's fault. He'd been dead maybe 2 hours. The desk drawer showed some canceled checks made out to Doris Patrick. While I was thinking that over, I spotted a .38 Smith & Wesson on the floor by his hand. Lynn had been carrying a .25. I broke it, and 3 cartridges fell out. From the looks of the holes in his chest, the .38 was the gun for the job. Well, that made her story and the .25 a fairy tale. While I was kneeling there, a light went on behind me. A fat man wearing a sheriff's star was standing with a switch. A tall leather jacket with a flashlight in his hand was in front of me. I began to feel helpless, like a trombone player with a short arm.
Scavenger hunt, son? You don't talk, Charlie.
Ain't much for him to say, is there, Cap?
Yes, not. Well, son?
You're going to be calling me names.
What do you like best? Killer, murderer, slayer? Papers use slayer a lot.
I don't like any of them.
Kind of breezy for a hot boy, ain't you?
You might give me a name?
Regan. I'm with the International Detective Bureau.
It's Regan, Cap. He's with the International Detective Bureau.
Got a card or something, son?
Yeah, here.
This guy here, a friend of yours?
My client, Lawrence.
What'd you do for him? Okay, tell me this. Why'd you plug him?
There's another story.
Any good?
Better than the one you got.
You'll have a hard time selling it.
It's a fix.
Oh, why you want to say a thing like that?
How long you been on the force?
Easy, Regan. Me and Cap's being nice. Phone call a little while ago. Funny kind of voice. Said we'd find a stiff here. But didn't say we'd find you.
Yeah, you're extra.
The dame who worked for him told me.
You tell homicide?
No.
That was a mistake. Where's this girl now? Name? Charlie, call a coroner. Ocean Town is just a small place. Only me and Charlie around. We borrow from the county when we get something like this.
Well, I can find you a real answer in an hour.
You got ideas?
Lots of them.
You can tell me all about them later. We got a corpse, we got a suspect. You know that's good. Even a weapon.
I'll have an alibi when you check the time of death.
We'll worry about that later on. All right, son. Let's go.
Well, I had about as much chance as an elephant in a tea room if those 2 locked me and booked me. I leaned back into his gun, spun around, knocked his wrist down. He pulled the trigger. But I'd already hit the light switch, and he was making rockets in the dark. I left my car there and cut across the highway and doubled back up the hill. They spread out in the wrong direction. An hour later, I was standing in front of the lion's door. He was wrapped in a bathrobe big enough to keep all the silkworms working overtime.
What do you want, Regan?
Information.
You been drinking?
I've been working.
Then Lena Cara see you?
You sent her.
She called me and said she wanted to hire you for something else.
After Nemo canceled the contract.
Yeah, why?
You gave her my address.
I thought you ought to talk to her. What she want?
She told me that she killed the prince.
She can't do that. We got a contract.
Well, it's already been done.
We're in a spot.
Yeah, I figured that'd get through to you.
They'll be asking me all kinds of questions.
Well, why didn't you think of that before you signed?
What are we going to do?
You're going to find out where this 25 came from and if anybody fired it.
Huh?
She was carrying it when she came to me.
I don't want to get involved.
Well, you're in it up to your ears. I went out there and found the prince. Only A 38 might have done the job.
Yeah? Well, that cleans her up.
Not yet. The Oceantown sheriff and a guy named Charlie are looking for him.
What for?
They think I know something.
Do you?
Not yet. There was a tip-off. Somebody was supposed to be a patsy.
Where's Kara now?
My place with Sammy Wing.
I'm going to get a lawyer. It'll look good.
All right, give me the keys to your car.
Why?
I got a date.
Find out who fogged Nemo when we won the championship.
You'll have to give the cup back. You cheated. I drove back out to Doris Patrick's place in the Palisades, and I rang the bell and waited. Took her a while, but she showed. She was wearing a filmy kind of a thing that made a spider's web look like canvas. I began to feel warm, like a sun lamp on a picture set.
We had a date at 9 o'clock.
I broke my watch.
Come in, I'll see if I can fix it. I'm great with a swift movement.
Yeah, it shows.
We were going to look at the stars together.
How long you been here?
I gave you up at 10. Tell me, how do you like my new dress?
It's the right color, but the wrong cut for a funeral.
I haven't read the obituaries today.
No, it'll be in tomorrow's paper.
Have a drink and let's wait for tomorrow.
Your friend Nemo was killed tonight.
He was no friend of mine. I told you that.
So did he.
You fall off his house?
Murdered.
We've been having fun up to now.
You know, you'll be first guess.
I don't think I like that.
He tried to blackmail you.
The story's backwards.
Well, that's the way it comes out.
Not quite.
You got another way?
He never tried to blackmail me.
Mm-hmm.
I blackmailed him.
How?
I went to him one day and put him in a trance. Only I used scotch. I found out what he was doing and how he was doing it, so I turned the tables. It was good, clean fun, but expensive for him.
Well, now, if he was your meal ticket, then you have an alibi, huh?
Could be canceled check somewhere.
Right where I could find him.
I'm telling you the truth.
Where does Jesse fit?
Oh, I told you we were married once. He's jealous.
Did he know about Nemo?
Maybe.
He was watchdog when I came out.
I told you. Jesse.
Hello, gorgeous. I still have a key.
What do you want?
You?
Get out.
You still trapping with this trap?
Just in time, Jesse.
You know, you didn't list good. I told you to lay off.
Where's your friend?
Paid off. I'm handling this alone.
We've been finished for a long time.
Oh, it's starting up again, Angel. Or didn't you know Nemo was dead?
I saw your 38 tonight, Jesse.
Ah, you're wrong. It's her 38. It's got her prints in it.
What do you mean?
I put him there. And you're going to be tagged for his murder, Angel. You see, you're sort of in a spot.
Regan.
Easy, baby. This punk never did anything right.
Huh? Tell me how wrong I've been.
All right, that tip to the Oceantown cops was wrong. Killing Nemo was wrong.
Ah, you're twisted, Pilgrim. Cops got a warrant out for you right now. Yeah, I had it on the car radio. Murder suspect. Plugging you is something they'll thank me for.
With her prints on the gun?
Well, how was I to know? I just see you and plug you. Everybody will be sorry, but it'll be manslaughter and suspended. It's pretty right, isn't it?
Well, what about me?
A friend of mine shoving off at Pedro tonight, Angel. Going all over the world. We'd be together. Well, Angel, will I plug it and meet you somewhere in 2 weeks, huh? Move over, Regan. The lady's making up her mind. Now, what do you like?
Oh, it was a real photo finish. Just as Jesse set the gun up against my head, Doris pulled a gun from the desk drawer and threw a couple of fast ones into him. Jesse tried for her. I'd call it a dead heat, but you'd have to give Doris the edge. Her first slug cut him down like a blade of grass, but she didn't give up. Well, he's all used up.
Never shot anyone before.
You look like a professional. Give me the gun.
He deserved to die. Didn't he? Didn't he?
I don't know, lady. You knew him better. Well, it all unwound like red thread in a Levi factory. Nemo told me his phony story so he'd have a good self-defense angle when he finally got around to killing Doris Patrick some afternoon. Jesse worked for him to keep me out, but I bounced him and got inside. When Jesse phoned Nemo about it, Nemo called the Lion and had me jerked before we could compare notes. I guess Jesse went kind of crazy when he saw how well we got along. He got an idea and killed Nemo and made Doris a patsy with those fingerprints. Lena Cara? Well, she went kind of crazy, too. She found Nemo dead and got the idea she did it. It took 3 doctors a couple of days to tell her what really happened. And the Lion was mad when he found out there wasn't any money in it. But then when he saw Doris Patrick's picture in the paper, he got kind of curious. He asked just one question. What did I do all that afternoon I was out in her house? I didn't even bother to answer him.
Jack Webb is featured as Jeff Regan with Herb Butterfield as Anthony J. Lyon. The story of the man who lived by the sea returns tonight by special request and was written by E. Jack Newman, produced by Sterling Tracy. In tonight's cast, the role of Doris Patrick was played by Yvonne Patey. Also heard Sidney Miller, Peggy Weber, Paul Freese, Marvin Miller, and Barry Crozier. Music for this program is by Milton Charles.
To hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a bunco detail. An experienced confidence man has set up operations in your city. From his first two victims, he gets more than $8,000. You've got one good lead on the suspect, his method of operation. Your job, get him.
Prove Fatima quality yourself today.
Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
You'll find Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
You'll find Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
And in Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Remember, Fatima gives you more for your money.
Buy Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, December 9th. It was windy in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of Bunco detail. My partner's Ed Jacobs. The boss is Captain Steve. My name's Friday. I was on the way into the office, and it was 7:50 a.m. when I got to room 38. Bunco detail.
Oh, morning, Joe.
Hi, Charlie. How'd you make out yesterday?
Nothing.
No luck at all, huh?
Nothing's going to help us much. Got the same description on the guy. Used the same name, same M.O. Didn't get anything we don't already know about him. How about you? Your luck any better?
About the same. Checked out the building where the suspect rented office space. He moved out 3 days ago. No forwarding address. Checked the hotel he was supposed to be stopping at. Didn't pan out.
Give him time. He'll stick his neck out again.
Well, it doesn't guarantee we'll reach him. Too late to start when the complaints come in. We're going to have to dig up a faster way of getting to him.
Hey, you got a match?
Yeah, sure, Charlie. Here you are.
Thanks.
You bet.
Oh, by the way, what's this I hear about your partner?
What?
Ed Jacobs. Understand you're losing him.
Oh, yeah, temporarily anyway.
What's the deal?
Well, he's going on a loan out up at the academy. Going to be an instructor up there 2 months anyway, maybe more.
When does this happen?
Tomorrow, the 10th.
Well, what are you going to do for a partner? You and Ken going to work together?
No, the captain's bringing in a new man. A young fella. He's been working in the business office.
You mean the big Irish kid works the early morning?
No, this boy's been working days. His name's Bill Lockwood. I asked for him as soon as I found out I was going to lose Ed.
You know him?
Well, a little bit, yeah. You remember Ben Romero?
Yeah, sure.
Well, Lockwood's a nephew of Ben's. Sister's boy. Tall, red hair.
Oh, yeah, I've seen him around. Seems to be a nice enough kid. A good record, is it?
Well, the captain thinks so. Figures he ought to work in pretty well.
Oh, by the way, have you seen Ben's wife lately?
Yeah, I did a couple of weeks ago. Seems to be doing all right. Still Mrs. Ben, of course.
Yeah, I imagine.
Her little boy's sure getting big. Looks a lot like his dad, too.
Miss him quite a bit yourself, huh?
Yeah, Charlie, I guess I do.
Well, I better get on my horse. I got some checking to do. I hope the Lockwood boy works out for you.
Well, I think he'll do all right.
Can't say I'd be crazy about the idea myself.
Well, how do you mean?
Breaking in a new man. No detective experience. When I go out to pick up a thief, I like to figure I've got some good backing. I mean, a partner I'm used to. Tough enough watching out for yourself, let alone a green youngster.
Well, somebody had to do it for us. That's the way it goes.
Yeah, I suppose.
I remember when I first started, it didn't come much greener than me. Partner did all the work, took all the chances, helped me every foot of the way. He never mentioned it once. I never forgot that. He's a good cop.
What was his name?
Ben Romero. In our particular setup, before a man's eligible to apply for duty in the Detective Bureau, he has to have a minimum of 5 years' experience as a police officer, either assigned to radio patrol, traffic duty, or some other general assignment. After the initial 5 years of service, the men go through a screening process to determine which department and which job they'll fit into best, some position that they seem to show a natural aptitude for. If a man applies for duty in a division of the Detective Bureau, and if he's accepted, he's assigned a partner to work with the day he goes on the job, generally a working detective with some experience. In the case of Ben's nephew, Bill Lockwood, he put in his first 5 years working Wilshire traffic and also doing radio patrol in Hollenbeck and 77th Street divisions. After spending another 11 months in our business office, Captain Steed put in a request for him, and he was transferred. When I heard Ed Jacobs was going to be loaned to the police academy as an instructor, I talked to Captain Steed about Lockwood, and he assigned him as my new partner. The changeover happened in the middle of one of the toughest investigations we'd had in months. A bunco artist who was working hard at the business opportunities racket. The following morning, December 10th, Bill Lockwood reported in for work, and we drove out to check a potential lead on the suspect. On the way, I laid out the case for him.
Nothing on the man in R&I, huh? No record at all?
No, not as far as we know, Bill. Checked Brereton up at Sacramento, CII. Nothing doing there. He couldn't help us.
What have you been going on? His description?
Yeah, that and his M.O. and his name. He uses a different alias on each job. Russell Preston, that was the last name he used.
I see. He usually starts by putting a want ad in the paper, is that it?
Well, he rents himself an office first, usually a pretty expensive one, well-furnished. Then he hires a good-looking secretary, has her put a want ad in the daily papers for him, and he's in business.
How do the ads read? The usual?
Yeah, typical thing you see in the daily paper. A business opportunity for people with vision, good investment, high profits. Apply now, you know. And then he gives his address and phone number. There's nothing clever about it, but people still go for it.
You get many replies, do you know?
Well, we figure he got between 20 and 30 on that last deal he pulled. Seems all he has to do is land one victim out of the bunch with enough money, and he's got it made. Took his first victim here for $5,000. Second one for $3,200. Both elderly women. Took them for their last dollar.
About the way he sets up the deal with these different businessmen, Joe, I don't think I got it quite straight.
Well, how do you mean?
Well, say the owner of that manufacturing plant this Russell Preston lined up.
Yeah.
You say Preston went to the plant, introduced himself as a business advisor, told the owner of the plant he had some people with money to invest. He convinced the owner he was legitimate.
Yeah, that's right.
And Preston had his two victims shown through the plant and convinced them they ought to invest their money in the business.
Yeah, that's it.
Do you mean to say the plant owners were acting in good faith?
Well, they were all checked out, Bill. Everything about them. They all have good business reputations. They didn't know any more about the deal than the victims. They needed more capital for their business, and they figured this was it.
This Preston, or whatever his name is, sure must have a line that won't stop.
He's got everything that goes with it. Nice clothes, well-mannered, good-looking. He doesn't try to high-pressure anybody. Tells them if they have confidence in him, he'll be glad to invest their money. If they hedge it all, he shows them right through the office.
Pretty good pitch. Once they're sold on him, he's got them over a barrel.
It's about the size of it, yeah.
Funny there's no record on him. Sure sounds like he's had a lot of experience. What are the other names he's used, you remember?
Well, just two of them we know of. Russell R. Preston and George A. Fairchild.
I guess the newspapers have been checked out, huh? The ones he ran the what ads in?
Yeah, they've all been talked to. All their personnel have been notified to watch for ads of that type. Be one way to get a lead on him if he tries again.
Well, what about the buildings where he rented office space? Couldn't the people there help any?
Well, they confirmed his description. We picked up samples of his handwriting. That's about it. He only rented the offices long enough to cover his deal, about 2 weeks. Let's see, what 100 block is this, Bill? Can you see over there?
Let's see. Yeah, 1700.
Well, we want the next one, 1811.
Who's this woman we're going to talk to? Vivian Castle, that right?
Yeah. I'm not sure if she's the right girl or not. Got the lead from an employment agency. Chance she might be the girl Preston hired to be a secretary. I don't know.
Oh, good parking place up there ahead, huh?
Yeah, that's good. You pull up anywhere along here. It's fine.
Two doors down, Joe. Real estate office. 1811.
Yeah, I see it. Good morning.
Good morning. Can I help you?
Police officers, ma'am. We'd like to talk to a Miss Castle, Vivian Castle.
Oh, I'm Vivian Castle.
There's our identification. This is my partner, Officer Lockwood. My name's Friday.
How do you do?
How do you do? What is it you want, officers?
We'd like to find out if you know a George Fairchild, ma'am.
Fairchild? No, I don't know anyone by that name.
How about a Russell Preston, miss? That mean anything to you?
Oh, I used to work for Mr. Preston, Russell Preston.
About how long ago was that?
A month and a half ago.
Mm-hmm. Where does he have his offices?
Oh, he did have them on South Grand near 8th, the old Belmont Harris building. Why?
Would you mind describing Mr. Preston for us, ma'am? Just a general description of him.
He was about 45 years old. Brown hair, a little gray. Nice build. Seemed to be a very nice man at first. Always dressed so nice. Just wore a dark blue suit. Seemed to be very nice.
Checks out so far, Joe.
Yeah.
Would you mind telling me what it's about?
We'd like to locate Mr. Preston, ma'am. You any idea where he is now?
I wish I did. I'd call the State Labor Commission. He seemed like such a nice man. I've never been so disappointed in my life.
How do you mean, Miss Castle?
He owes me 2 weeks' pay, $65 a week. Hired me as a private secretary. Good jobs aren't hard to get now either. He can't say he was giving me a break when he hired me. Are you from the Labor Commission?
No, ma'am, we're not. Could you tell us how long you worked for this Mr. Preston?
Just the 3 weeks. He said I was going to get paid every Friday. Gave me the money for the first week, and that's all. Kept waiting for my pay, but he kept putting me off. Last week and a half, he didn't even show up at the office. I was there all alone, 8 hours a day. Finally, the building manager showed up and told me it was all over. Mr. Preston closed the office. Didn't even have the decency to come in and say thank you, goodbye. I just left.
And you have no idea at all where Mr. Preston is now?
No, sir, I wish I did.
Were there any office files, mail files, any way to get a possible line on him?
As far as I know, I didn't keep any files for him. Matter of fact, I didn't do any work at all. Just a showpiece, I guess that's all he kept me there for. There's no reason why he shouldn't pay me, though. Are you sure you're not from the Labor Commission?
Did Mr. Preston ever have you place any want ads in the daily papers, Miss Castle?
Yeah, he did a couple of times. Ads for business opportunities, you know. He was in the investment business, helped people invest their money.
Would you happen to know anyone who invested money with him? I mean, would you know them by name?
No, not by name. Quite a few people came through the office. I know a few of them made deals with Mr. Preston. I wouldn't remember their names, though.
And you don't know any friends he might have had in town? Any of his business associates?
No, sir, not a one. I didn't know he had any associates.
How about where he was staying, Miss Castle? You must have known that.
Yeah, the first week I was there, I did. It's the only week I got paid for. He was staying at a small hotel on South Flower. He moved the next week, though. I don't know where he went after that. Neither does the hotel. I asked them.
Well, during the time you worked for him, ma'am, did you ever have anything to do with Mr. Preston socially? I mean, was it part of your job to go out to dinner with him, things like that?
I did once or twice when he asked me. I didn't think it was part of my job, though. Mr. Preston didn't mention it either. Once we went out to dinner, just the two of us. Another time we went out with my girlfriend, Norma. I had a terrible time. Mr. Preston was awful.
And how do you mean, miss?
Well, he drank too much and was throwing his weight around. You know, the boss. And he kept making a play for my girlfriend, Norma. I think he liked her quite a bit. Sure was embarrassing, though. Look, would you mind telling me what's the matter? Is Mr. Preston in trouble with the police?
Yes, ma'am, I'm afraid so. He's cheated some people out of quite a bit of money. It's not the first time either.
Well, what was it? What did he do?
Confidence scheme. Selling interest in a company he had no connection with.
If that isn't the limit. I guess it's my own fault. I should have known better. It's happened before.
Well?
They hire you. They give you a beautiful office, nice soft chair to sit on. They never give you any work to do. You don't have to lift a finger. I finally got the drift.
Yeah.
Those are the kind you have to watch out for.
Bill Lockwood and I continued questioning the former secretary of Russell Preston, alias George Fairchild, but she was unable to come up with any kind of a definite lead as to the suspect's whereabouts. We left our card with the girl, and she promised to contact us in the event she came across any information regarding Preston. For the rest of the day, we ran down 3 more possible leads. They came from an informant, a head waiter in a second-rate nightclub, a small-time grifter with an axe to grind. And they all figured they had the right answer, where to find Preston. We checked out the 3 locations they gave us, a motel out near Santa Monica, a rooming house in Hollywood, a cocktail lounge in Highland Park. Not one of the 3 paid off. Russell Preston, alias George Fairchild, wasn't known at any of the places, either by name, dress, or physical description. During the next 3 weeks, along with Sergeants Charlie Riblett and Ken Scarce of Bunco Detail, Bill Lockwood and I ran down every possible lead on the suspect. Hotels, the want-ad departments of the daily papers, managers of downtown office buildings, secretarial employment agencies, small businesses advertising stock for sale. They got us nothing. Despite all the precautions and all the legwork, on January 6th, we got a call from a Mrs. Marie Barrett in the Westlake Park area. She owned and managed a toy shop just off Wilshire Boulevard. Bill Lockwood and I drove out to talk to her.
Yes, they told me it was the opportunity of a lifetime, a big opportunity. I just can't believe it. Can't understand it. Why, he even took me out and showed me the factory. Him and the man who ran the place. They're making plastics. Showed me the whole plant.
You say the plant was out in Glendale, ma'am. Whereabouts?
It was right along San Fernando Road, maybe a mile or 2 before you get to the airport. They showed me through the whole plant.
Who showed you through, Miss Barrett?
Owner of the place in this, Mr. Fairchild. It's a big place, making plastics of all kinds. Can't say I wasn't impressed.
What was Mr. Fairchild's first name? Do you remember?
George Fairchild and Associates. That was the name on the door of the office when I went up to see him. Of course, I really didn't have a notion to invest any money when I first went up. It was the newspaper ad, and I answered lots of them. Kind of a hobby with me.
Yes, ma'am.
So I went up to see him, and we talked. And as I say, I wasn't thinking of investing any money, but Mr. Fairchild seemed like such a nice man. Seemed to have a good business head on his shoulders. Well, ended up with me putting my whole savings account into the plastics plant. $6,400, every penny of it. I haven't heard from Mr. Fairchild since. I just don't know what to think. I can't understand it.
Do you have any idea where to contact this Fairchild now? Any address, telephone number?
Well, I called his office. It's in the Oxford Exchange building.
Mm-hmm.
There's no answer, though. They say it's disconnected. I've been trying for a week to contact Mr. Fairchild. I mean, $6,400. I just don't know what to do. It's all my savings. I don't know what to do. Oh, excuse me, please. Customer can't afford to miss the sale now.
Yes, ma'am. You go right ahead.
Ellen, will you help this lady, please?
Looks like he scored again, huh?
I wouldn't doubt it. She seems to do a fair business here, huh? I mean, after Christmas and all.
Yeah, I suppose. Of course, the women go for it. You hang up a sale sign, you can't beat them off with a club.
That's right.
See this gadget here? Pretty clever, huh?
Yeah. Miniature Sherman tank. What's it do?
Watch.
Yeah, well, how about that?
Pretty cute, isn't it? Cannons on the side, sparks coming out. My nephew got one for Christmas. It's got a lot of power. Treads will climb over just about anything.
Uh-huh.
Sorry to keep you waiting, officers. Customers have to be attended to.
Surely we understand. Now, about this money you gave Fairchild and Miss Barrett, the $6,400, how'd you work that? I mean, did you give him a check, or how'd you do it?
Yes, I gave him a check. It was cashed the same day I gave it to him. I found that out from the bank.
What was it you were supposed to get for your money, ma'am?
Interest in the plastics company, 1/5 interest. Seemed like such a good idea at the time.
Did you ever discuss the deal with the owners of the plastics company? I mean, when Mr. Fairchild wasn't around?
No, I guess I never did. Mr. Fairchild didn't think it was a good idea. Said he wanted me to get the most for my money, and said he was afraid if the company owners talked to me alone, they might argue me into taking less profit. Didn't want me to talk to him at all if he wasn't around.
And you weren't suspicious of him at all, huh?
Mr. Fairchild? No. Very nice man. There are a few things he did that made me a little uncertain, but he always explained everything to me. He always had a good reason for everything he did. Nice man, clean-cut, well-dressed, beautiful manners. Never take him for anything but a gentleman. You'll see what I mean. Where do you meet him?
Yes, ma'am.
Just a perfect gentleman. I don't know what to think. I can't call him a crook. He just isn't that kind.
Well, he took your money, Miss Barrett.
Yes.
What else would you call him? 2:18 p.m. When we got through interviewing the latest victim, Marie Barrett, Bill Lockwood and I drove out to the plastics company on San Fernando Road where we talked to the owner and manager. The story was pretty much the same. The suspect, using the name of George Fairchild, had called on them 3 weeks before, introducing himself as an investment counselor. He told them he had clients with money to invest in a growing industry such as theirs, and they went for the story. They told us Fairchild had come back 2 or 3 times with different persons whom he introduced as his clients. They'd been shown through the plastics plant and given a sales talk. That's about all the company owners could tell us. When we got back to the office, we checked their names through the regular business channels and found out they were reputable businessmen. There was nothing to indicate that they had anything to do with the suspect's bunco operations. 4:30 p.m.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah, Bill.
Girl out here to see us, the one who used to be Preston's secretary, Vivian Castle.
Oh, yeah. She say what she wanted?
No, seems a little anxious.
Officer, I'm glad I found you in.
How are you, Miss Castle?
I'm all right. I was going to phone you, but I couldn't remember your number. Lost the card you gave me, so I decided to come down. You remember talking to me, don't you, about Mr. Preston, my old boss?
Yes, ma'am. Have you heard from him?
Well, no, I haven't, but you remember me telling you about my girlfriend, Norma?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the time Mr. Preston took me out, Norma and her boyfriend were with us?
Yes, ma'am.
And the way Mr. Preston kept making a play for Norma. Well, I saw Norma at lunchtime today, first time in weeks.
Mm-hmm.
She told me she got a call from Mr. Preston. I told her I'd tell you all about it. She's got a date with him.
When?
For dinner Friday night.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
To show our confidence in Fatima, we make you this money-back guarantee.
Buy a pack of Fatimas. Enjoy Fatima quality, extra mildness, and superbly blended tobaccos.
If you're not convinced Fatima is better than the king-size cigarette you're now smoking, just return the pack and the unsmoked Fatimas by August 1st, 1952, for your money back plus postage. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1.
Prove Fatima quality yourself.
Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
And in Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality.
Fatima gives you more for your money. Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. Buy Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Wednesday, January 6th, 4:50 p.m. We called Vivian Castle's girlfriend, Norma Cummings, and then we drove out to talk to her. The Cummings girl told us that Russell Preston had telephoned that morning and made the date with her for Friday night at 7:30. He said they were to have dinner at a nightclub out in the Wilshire district. He also mentioned to her that he was staying in a hotel, but she didn't know the name of the location. We made arrangements for a stakeout at Norma Cummings' apartment. The girl agreed to cooperate with us. Thursday, January 7th. We checked with the personnel at the different restaurants, bars, and nightclubs which Preston and the Cummings girl were to visit. Some of them remembered Preston, but as far as they knew, he hadn't been back. We left our cards with each one of them, and we asked him to contact us if he should return. Just after lunch on Friday, we got a phone call from Norma Cummings.
When was that, miss? Uh-huh. Did you find out where he was? I see. Mm-hmm. Will you be there for the rest of the day? No, all right, fine. Yeah, we'll call you back. Goodbye.
Yeah?
Cummings girl. She's at work. She just had a phone call from Preston. She tried to find out where he was. No go.
Well, what did he have to say?
That dinner date he had with her tonight?
Yeah.
He called it off.
Later that afternoon, we went out and talked to the Cummings girl. She told us Preston explained on the phone that he had to cancel a date that night because of some business deal that had come up. He told her he'd get in touch with her over the weekend. He didn't. By Thursday of the following week, she still hadn't heard from him. 2 days later, on a Saturday afternoon, we got a call from one of the cocktail lounges Preston had visited. The bartender remembered us being in there to inquire about the suspect, and he'd saved our card. He said Preston was there now with another man drinking at the bar. We asked the bartender to try and delay the suspect as long as possible. Then we got in the car and drove to the location. It was too late. The bartender explained that he tried to delay the man that he thought was Preston, but he didn't have much luck. The suspect had left a few minutes after the bartender had called us. He'd been drinking heavily. The man Preston had been with was still there. He was sitting at an old upright piano in the back of the place trying to pick out a tune with one finger. Bill and I went back and talked to him. He gave his name as Fred Sandell.
Yeah, that's right. I was drinking with a fellow. Why? What's the matter, officer?
Did you ever see the man before?
Yeah, once or twice.
In here?
No, a place up the street, 780 Club. I had a couple of drinks with him in there.
You know his name?
Well, what's the angle? You want him for something?
Oh, it's just a routine check. We'd like to talk to him.
Well, I don't know. I might know his name.
Yeah?
Well, what's the angle on the thing? You want him for something big?
We want to talk to him, that's all.
Did he pull a heist? Something like that? Hey, he didn't look like that kind of guy. Oh, a lousy thing, and then we couldn't get that right.
How about it? You say you might know the man's name. What was it?
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm the one that ought to tell you.
How do you mean?
Well, I don't want to get anybody in trouble. I want to give out names. What's the angle on him? You want him for something big or what?
Big enough, yeah.
Oh. Well, his name's Preston, I think. That's the name he gave me, anyway. I see him around bars in the neighborhood every once in a while.
How much do you know about him?
Well, not much. I had a few drinks with him now and then, talked a little bit. That's about all.
What did you say your name was?
Sandell, Fred Sandell. Well, what's the angle on this Preston?
We want to get in touch with him. You know where he lives?
I don't know. I might. You want him for something big, isn't that right?
Well, what's the difference? We want him.
Well, it could be a lot of difference. I mean, what's the angle? If it's important to you and I helped you, well, you'd probably want to do the right thing, huh?
I don't know if I got you right.
Well, I mean, if you really want the guy, you know. If it's important to you and I helped you reach him, you'd want to make it square with me, wouldn't you? Huh? And not that I'm asking for payoff. You understand that?
Yeah, we understand. Where's Preston live?
Well, I didn't say I knew where the guy lives. I didn't say that. Do
you know where he lives?
Well, I'm not sure. Am I? I don't know if I'll tell you, though. I don't.
All right, you want to stand by here, Bill? I better check in.
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
City Hall.
2625, please.
2625.
Racket Bureau, Hunter.
Yeah, John, this is Joe Friday, Bunco.
Yeah, Friday.
I'd like to check on a suspect, John. He gives the name of Fred Sandell. He's a WMA, about 45, 5'10", 170 pounds, brown hair, brown eyes, ruddy complexion, small scar just below the left ear.
Okay. Want me to call you back on that?
Yeah, would you please? I'm at Dunkirk, 35016.
Right, I'll call you.
Thanks. Oh, say, John, could you switch me over to Bunco, please? I'm calling from outside.
Yeah, sure. Hang on.
Thank you.
Yes?
Would you switch?
Switch this call over to Bunco detail, please.
Bunco detail, surely.
Bunco, Ripley.
Joe Friday, Charlie. Anything doing?
Oh, yeah, Joe, quite a bit. That suspect of yours, Russell Preston,
Mm-hmm.
he's been picked up.
Yeah? Well, how'd that happen?
A radio car picked him up 8th and South Grand. Drunk charge, I understand. He was pretty well plastered, wandering around in the middle of the street. Had quite a bit of money on him. They brought him into robbery for questioning.
Are you sure he's Preston?
Yeah, description checks, a couple of sets of identification on him, too. One for Russell Preston, one for George Fairchild.
Well, where they got him now?
Next door, interrogation room. Ken Scarce is talking to him. He's copping out on 2 of the jobs he pulled.
Okay, Charlie. Thanks a lot. We'll be right in.
Right, Joe.
All right, bye. Bill, see you a minute.
Yeah.
You might as well check in. Preston's been picked up.
When?
Probably just after you left this bar. A radio car spotted him, pulled him in.
How about that?
Yeah.
You work 2 months on a case, then just when we start to get close, somebody else picks the guy up.
Yeah, that's right. It's not very exciting, is it?
You know, I was just thinking, officer, I don't want to be a hardhead about this thing, you know. I mean, if you want this guy Preston, I'd be glad I'd help you find him. I don't want to be a hardhead.
Excuse me a minute. Yeah.
John Hunter, Friday, Record Bureau.
Oh, yeah, John.
I got a make on that name you asked for, Fred Sandell. There's a warrant on him. Grand theft auto. Got a pretty long record. You want me to read it off?
No, that's all right, John.
Right. Bye.
Right, thank you.
Well, what do you say, Sergeant? Suppose we sit down and have a drink and talk things over. And I'll show you where I think this Preston hangs out. I mean, if we make the right deal,
Well, it's already been made. You want to grab your top coat there? We'd like to talk to you downtown.
Me? What for? What are you talking about?
Grand theft auto. They want you, mister.
Well, wait a minute. You made a mistake. You didn't come in here looking for me. You're not even assigned to my case. Well, this ain't fair.
Get your coat. Let's go.
Yeah, but this ain't fair. You come in here looking for Preston. You didn't want me.
We do now.
Well, what kind of a deal do you call that? You're looking for Preston. You picked me up. Well, what's the angle?
There's no angle. Some days you got to settle for less, that's all. Come on, let's go.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On April 5th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 89, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, I sincerely hope you'll remember tomorrow what we've told you about Fatima tonight. You remember we said that Fatima is the best of all king-size cigarettes. Well, we'd like you to try a pack and prove that to your own satisfaction. You'll find Fatima gives you an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. And remember this, Fatima gives you more for your money. When you buy cigarettes, look for the bright, sunny yellow pack and buy Fatima. I know you'll like them.
Russell R. Preston, alias George Fairchild, alias Robert Fairchild, was tried and convicted on 3 counts of grand theft. Fred Sandell was tried and convicted of grand theft, 1 count. Both men received sentences as prescribed by law. They are now serving their terms in the state penitentiary, San Quentin, California. Grand theft is punishable by imprisonment for not less than 1 nor more than 10 years. just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Martin Milner, Marion Richmond, Vic Rodman. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Now it's Counter Spy on NBC.
Novak, for hire.
Sure, I'm Pat Novak, for hire. That's what the sign out in front of my place says. Pat Novak for hire. It's the easy way because down here on the waterfront in San Francisco, you can't afford to wait your turn. If you're going to make a living down here, you got to do everything you can. And you got to be out of the hen house by sunup. Even then, it doesn't work out always because you get trouble tax-free. It's like leukemia. There's nothing you can do about it. There's no way to duck it. You might as well try to start a conga line in the cathedral. I found that out Monday night when I met an old friend. It was the night before elections, and I was sitting in the office scratching married women out of an old date book when Sam Tolliver showed up. I hadn't seen him for years, but it was a nice, easy meeting. What other way is there when you're good friends?
You look just the same, Patsy.
Yeah. It's good to see you, Sam. Sit down.
Sure. Doing well, I guess, huh?
Oh, you get different stories. Where have you been?
Oh, all the hard luck stops. Syracuse for a while and Joliet. That's where I come from now.
Yeah? That's where they got a big prison.
Uh-huh.
When you came too far, Sam, you should have stopped in Oakland.
Huh?
That's right. If you're out here to play small robbery, you better think it over. It's a tough town.
Don't ride me, Patsy.
I'm not, Sam. But once you start losing them, it's hard to win again. I just thought you might want to know about San Francisco.
Thanks, but you don't have to worry, Patsy. I got a smart streak. I'm here mostly to ask a favor.
Yeah?
Can you spare me one for old time's sake?
Medium-sized. Go ahead.
I want to borrow one of your boats.
Did you come all the way from Joliet to borrow a boat, Sam?
If it's going to hurt that much, forget it.
I just asked. All right. When do you need it? Tonight?
It's to pick up a package in the bay about 9 o'clock.
Sure, I'll run you out.
No, it's a little different, Patsy. I can't make the trip. You'd have to do it for me.
The favor's getting bigger, Sam.
You'd have to pick up the package and bring it back here. I'll be waiting at 10 o'clock. I guess you won't buy, huh, Patsy?
I'm not impressed.
It'd mean a lot to me, Patsy. It really would. And you couldn't get hurt, honest.
Nobody gets hurt, honest. It's the other way I'm worried about.
Well, I wish I could tell you, Patsy, but I can't. You know how it is. Sometimes you can't, but... Well, it's that way now, but... You'd be doing me a real favor and you wouldn't get hurt.
That's what Henry used to tell his wives. All right, Sam. But you put out a bad story.
Well, Patsy, you have to go by the China Star. She's out in the stream. Just tell them you came for that package. They won't ask. Just tell them you want the package.
Yeah?
Talk to the captain. I'll be waiting here at your place about 10 o'clock. And, Patsy, it's important. Don't let anybody else have it.
All right. I'll see you here at 10.
Thanks, Betsy. It's a big favor.
We're old friends.
Yeah. We're old friends. Nothing wrong with them, huh?
No, there's nothing wrong with old friends, Sam, except sometimes they wear out on you. When Sam Tolliver walked out of there, I began to worry. I don't know why, because he was always a good guy. But if you leave good silk out in the rain, it'll shrink. Well, it was too late to change my mind now. I was going to get that package and say goodbye to Sam Tolliver. Only things didn't work out that way. You start with trouble and it never stops. It's like offering to buy aspirin for a two-headed boy. About 8:30, I took a boat and I started out into the bay. Halfway out into the stream, I had to give way to a tanker. After she throbbed by, I picked up the China Star, tied up at buoy 327. It was a broken-down old barge, so old I expected to find Noah hiding out in the bilges. Well, I went aboard, and they took me into the captain's cabin. It was going to be tougher than Sam thought. The old man had some questions, and he was about as smooth as a bag of fingernails. Right away, I got the idea.
What do you want?
I came out for a package.
Who are you?
What good will a name do you?
Who are you?
What do you care, mister? This isn't our dance. Just give me the package and I'll leave.
Keep shouting, tough boy, and when you're all through, tell me your name.
Now, look, I'm not out here to haunt your boat. You got the right face for it. I'm just passing through.
If you're running a small boat, you got papers. Let's see them.
Yeah. You're too handy in your own cabin.
Novak, huh? You a Polak, Novak?
Yeah, and it feels fine. How's it being a pig these days?
Don't get jumpy. I just asked. Who sent you here, Novak?
I'll forget you asked. Just keep the package. I'm going home.
You walk home on the bottom, then. Now, look, Novak, somebody steered you wrong. Maybe it was no questions once, but it's not that way anymore. Just want to keep the book straight. Who sent you?
Sam Tolliver. You need a pencil?
No, that's enough questions. You see, Novak, all you had to do was answer. You can have the package now and talk some more.
I'll take it now. Where is it?
On the desk behind you there.
Yeah. Thanks.
You're welcome, Novak.
The captain didn't like company. When he hit me, I dropped down to the floor like a piece of hard-working lint. The last thing I remember was Sam Tolliver sending me out to this boat. I knew then I had no more business here than second trumpet in a string quartet. I could hear voices and people moving around, but it didn't help much. You can get that kind of service in a tomb. Somewhere along the line, they moved me, because when I woke up, I was lying in a cloud of platine on a couch in a different cabin. The class of people had improved. She was bending over me with a cold towel and a warm look. And from where I was, she had a figure like a shot of brandy on a winter night. When she said hello, you knew that all you had to do was send up a flare and relax.
Good evening. Welcome back.
Yeah,
How do you feel?
a little used up. I need recharging.
Here, put your head on my lap. There. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Forget the towel. I'll struggle along this way. By the way, whose lap is it?
I'm Ellen Morrow.
Where's your friend?
The captain?
I guess so, the brave guy, Axel Arm.
He's down getting your boat ready.
What's he doing, punching holes in the bottom?
He'll be back in a minute. The package will be ready and you can leave.
No, you keep the package. The last time I got a headache.
I'm sorry about that. It was a mistake.
That's what they told Marie Antoinette. By that time, her head was 40 feet down the street. What's in that package?
It wouldn't help if you knew.
You let me work that out, huh?
Work out the answer then.
How about Sam Tolliver?
Slow down, Betsy.
I'm not going that fast.
You're going the wrong way. I'll help you lick your wounds, darling, but I'm not going to get talky.
What do you got to lose?
What have I got to gain except your gratitude? I can get that any night with a couple of drinks.
How is he, Ellen?
How does he look?
Too comfortable. On your feet, Novak.
Yeah. You ought to rent that out, sweetheart. I'd sign a lease myself.
I'll finish this sweet talk, Novak. You get on your way. Here's the package.
No, I changed my mind about the package. You keep it.
Your boat's ready. Unless you want to get tossed in like a mackerel, take the package and beat it.
What's in it, and where does Sam Tolliver fit?
You asked once already with your head in her lap. You want me to sit down?
Well, you got brains after all.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought they were all in your fists. Yeah, you're still smart.
Take this package. Show him the boat, Ellen.
I'm going to remember you, mister.
Ellen's going to lead you by the hand through the dark. Stop beefing and settle for the simple pleasures.
I will. I'll remember you.
Concentrate on Ellen. You'll get a better memory.
I went out on deck with the girl, and as I got to the starboard side, I noticed her hair for the first time. The way you're liable to suddenly notice a flower after a hard rain. Her hair was red, and as the orange lights of the bridge reflected against it, it seemed like a prairie fire, away down in the valley, flaring up quick and then burning low again. The rest of her would have made a good prairie fire, too. It was the only good thing I could think of on the way across the bay. The water was as quiet as a drowsy caterpillar, and I had a chance to think. Why had they changed their mind about giving me that package, and how wet were Sam Tolliver's feet? Well, it must have been about 11:30 when I pulled into the pier and started on the run for my office. The lights were on, and I burst right in because I had a lot to ask Sam. But it wasn't Sam.
What's your hurry, mister?
I came here to meet a friend.
That's the guy laying in the corner. You don't have to hurry.
No, this isn't my friend.
He doesn't look like one. I'm Sergeant Grimes from Homicide. If you're Novak, you're in trouble.
Why?
A guy lying under your desk, dripping like a broken inkwell, and you trot out a question like that?
Well, it's a bum keeper somewhere. I was supposed to wait for a guy named Sam Tolliver.
It might as well have been a streetcar. I'm not going to press you, Novak. I don't care. I'm just going to take you downtown.
Well, this boy quit too late. I've been in the bay the last 2 hours. You can check. I went out there to pick up a package.
The one you got in your arm?
Yeah, it's for a guy named Sam Tolliver.
Let's see.
Okay.
It doesn't say that. It says Mr. John Reedy, 720 Post Street.
I wonder what that means.
Let's find out. We'll take it by Reedy's place.
I got it for Sam Tolliver.
You can buy him another. We're going by Reedy's before we get downtown.
What's the matter with you? Do you want it on an 18-foot screen? I didn't kill the guy. I don't even know him. I don't even know this John Reedy.
Wait a minute, Novak. I believe you. I believe every word you're saying. Except this is one time you'd be better off lying.
When we left my office, I felt as if somebody had walked through my stomach on stilts. Oh, there were loose ends bobbing up everywhere, and you couldn't get to any of them. It was like chasing a spider with a bowling ball. With all this new stuff, I forgot about the ship. Who's going to worry about blood poisoning if he's busy having hemorrhages? I began to wonder more about Sam. Where was he? And how was I going to palm off that dead stand-in? Grimes didn't seem worried. We got into his Nash and headed for 720 Post Street. It was an apartment hotel, and Reedy lived up on the 3rd floor. On the way in, Grimes picked up a key at the desk, and we rode up in the elevator with one of those shifty-eyed little guys who'd sell his mother if he didn't have to fatten her up. When we got to Reedy's door, Grimes took over.
Open up!
Maybe he can't hear you, Grimes.
Nobody home. Let's go in.
Why? We don't know him well enough to sneak in.
I rate a hunch, Novak.
Okay. The light's on your side.
Leave it out. Let's look around.
Okay. The stray bodies belong to you, Grimes.
You go look in that set of bedrooms. I'll check over here in the library. Give me a yell if you see any.
All right.
Novak! Two of them. I got one by the desk. The other started down the fire escape. I'm going down in front. Take this gun and stand by the fire escape. He may get trapped and start up, so keep your eyes open.
I walked into the library. The window was open, and the curtains were blowing over the dead man's face. It was a good thing, because you can't split the difference with a service 45. I took him to the heels and dragged him away from the window. His eyes were rolled back as if he expected somebody to tap him on the shoulder and tell him it was all a mistake. His face was contorted and frightened, maybe a little embarrassed, like a deer caught in a traffic jam. Well, I I stayed at the window about 10 minutes and watched the fire escape. There was no action there, and Grimes wasn't back, so I started for the door. I had company right away.
Hello, Novak. You move?
Oh, Hellman.
It's a big gun you got.
Well, ask Junior here on the floor. He thinks it's even bigger.
I'll check myself.
Sure, and it's going to be easy because it's right in the family.
Yeah?
Yeah. Belongs to one of your boys down in homicide.
Go ahead.
A sergeant by the name of Grimes steamed in here and knocked down Junior, and then he beat it down to get the other guy.
I don't believe it.
Well, talk to him.
That's why I don't believe it. There's nobody on the force named Grimes. On this one, you're all alone, Novak.
There's got to be a Grimes. The guy had on a uniform.
I don't care if he had on a playsuit, Novak. The guy's a phony. He's not from homicide. He's a killer.
That's what I meant, Hellman. I knew Hellman was right. If Grimes was on the level, he'd have booked me instead of coming up here. He came up to Reedy's with murder in mind. Even if they believed the story about Grimes, I was still in a spot. That made me accessory to murder. And I was going to look worse when Hellman found the guy down in my office. On that one, I had star billing. Oh, everywhere I turned, things were worse. I knew it was going to take a low-budget miracle to bail me out. It was like trying to give nose drops to a herd of elephants. Hellman seemed to like the idea. Hellman rolled the guy, and there was no identification. But he never works for nothing.
A few bucks in the guy. I'll put it in the safe.
The only safe you got has suspenders on it.
I don't like that, Novak.
Oh, you'd do anything for a buck, Hellman. If you got the right bid, you'd sell the tomb of the unknown soldier. Thanks, Hellman. I'm getting a big list tonight.
I can do all of that I want, Novak, because you're in the corner pocket now. I got a tip-off from the Chronicle to come up here, and I find you holding last right.
You got a bigger headache, Hellman. There's another stiff down at my place.
Huh?
That's right, Grimes again. He was sitting there when I walked in.
Where were you?
Out in the bay, picking up a package. It's right there on the desk.
What's in it?
I don't know. It was for a friend of mine named Sam Tolliver. He's disappeared, and Grimes brought the package up here.
I'll take it downtown.
You better tag by the China Star. That's where I picked up the package. It's out in the bay, so you'll need a boat. Even a guy with your complex needs a boat.
I'll touch all the bases, Novak. You just stay 10 cents away from headquarters. You can pay your own way into the can.
Yeah, well, that's what'll happen if I wait for you. I'll be standing out in the downpour.
That's right, Novak. If there's a chance, I want to see you get first prize.
Yeah, well, I'm going to be stuck unless I shop around myself because you got lockjaw of the brain, Hellman.
Yeah?
That wouldn't hurt you so much, but if it spreads, you're going to be in trouble. That's what I'm waiting for. Well, if something didn't happen soon, I was going to be about as embarrassed as a hostess with leaky plumbing. I was counting on Hellman to shake down the skipper of the China Star. And if that didn't work, I could close shop. I didn't have any leads. There wasn't anything I could do but sit on my hands. It was like taking your niece to a nightclub. I had to stumble around until something showed. So I looked up the only honest guy I know. An ex-doctor and a boozer by the name of Jocko Madigan. Oh, he was all right until he found out sometimes you can feel as bad the next morning without a hangover. I toured the town and finally found him at Lupo's trying to put the vineyards out of business.
Ah, Patsy, you're just in time to start the day off right. Mama Lupo, some wine for Mr. Novak. You can only have a quart. We're running low.
Look, it's almost midnight, Jocko. I got to talk to you.
We're not going to turn into pumpkins. You need some wine.
No, I don't.
Patsy, when you die, the artwork is going to be simple. On your grave, they'll chisel a picture of a pair of slacks, a hamburger, and a double malt.
All right, Jocko.
The final symbols of a decayed civilization, because that's as close as you ever got to civilization, a remote connection at best. Like a bookie, they love horses, but they die on a stock farm. It's the same with you and civilization.
You all through, Jocko?
I won't fight against your sober babble. What's the matter?
There's a dead guy down in my office.
A friend of ours?
No.
Oh, that's too bad. We'll miss the wait.
I'm going to get half hung by homicide. The other half is dead up in a Post Street apartment. Hellman thinks I'm the boy.
Patsy, I wish you wouldn't hang around me when you've just killed somebody. You tarnish my declining years.
I went out to the bay to pick up a package. When I got back to my place, instead of a friend named Sam Tolliver, there was a dead guy there, and a phony cop called Grimes.
How do you make the distinction?
He grabbed the package, and we took it up to Post Street. After a quick hassle in the dark, I'm standing over a dead guy in John Reedy's apartment.
John Reedy?
Yeah. Do you know him?
Most people do. He's running for office tomorrow. Is he the dead man?
No, I don't think so. What about Reedy?
He's running for a board job.
Yeah? Would anybody have a reason to work a plan on him?
Maybe.
What's he like?
Oh, a sort of liberal by marriage. A reactionary with a rich wife. Supposed to be a good man.
Well, how about the opposition?
Oh, a lot of them are running. One is Simpson. He couldn't beat an asthmatic turtle across a tennis court.
Well, we're getting somewhere at least. If Reedy's good, the gambling dough would frame him to lose.
Yes, if politicians can ever lose. A murder in his apartment would look too phony, though.
Yeah, but maybe that package wouldn't. Jocko, you got to help me. I want you to check on the registration of the China Star and then nose around to find out what you can about tomorrow's election, will you?
If we lived in a monarchy, this wouldn't happen.
That fast double play has got something to do with this election. Now, hurry up, Jocko, and when you're through, tag by my place. I'll call you there.
Have you a bottle in the house?
There's a tap in the kitchen. That'll have to do.
No, thanks. Outside of a child in pain, the most pathetic sound in the world is running water. Good night, lover.
I left Jocko and ducked into a phone booth. When I called Hellman, he poured out news like a rotary press. They broke open that package down at headquarters. It was full of dope. Plain garden variety, the kind a man uses to forget either his wife or secretary. I was sure then the package was a plant on Reedy. Hellman didn't see it that way. He said the 2 dead men were Gunsel's, last addressed before San Francisco State Prison at Joliet. I needled him about that phony cop Grimes. Hellman said they just got a tip-off by telephone. Grimes was an ex-sergeant in homicide whose real name was Vic Rothery. I asked him who phoned in the tip-off, and Hellman said he didn't know the guy. His name was Sam Tolliver. I got out of the Chronicle morgue and looked up everything I could on John Reedy. All politicians' children sit on the floor. There was a picture of Reedy there with his family grouped around him on the floor. I pulled the clips on Vic Rothery. It was Grimes, all right. Well, that gave me something to work on, so I went on the prowl for Ellen Morrow. I found her running a dice game in a little after-hours joint on Eddy Street.
You want chips, Novak?
You don't want to play against yourself? Yeah, give me some.
All right. See how good you are.
Okay.
8's your point.
Yeah. You seen Sam Tolliver?
Make your point, Patsy.
That's it. Where's Sam Tolliver?
5. You're not even warm. You're not warm on Sam, either.
He left me hanging with a murder rap.
Your friend double-crossed you.
He double-crossed you, too.
Another 5. You're in a rut, Patsy.
He turned in Grimes. That's right, baby. They know he's Vic Rothery now. You still like Sam Tolliver?
No. Keep rolling, darling.
Is Grimes your boyfriend?
He used to be. I'm sentimental.
Where's Sam Tolliver?
The Herrick Hotel. When you see him, tell him I sent you.
I will if we talk that long.
There it is.
Hey, come on.
8.
That's right.
I guess I lose, Patsy.
I guess you do. Be seeing you, baby. She changed when I left. The first time out, she was alive and breezy like the Maine coast in July. But now she was broken up and lonely looking. And as I walked out, I thought of an old Dixie cup somebody had used up and thrown in the alley. Well, I got down to the Herrick Hotel, but Sam Tolliver wasn't there. Maybe it was better that way. I left a note for him, a short note that even a Mongolian idiot couldn't trip up on. If Sam was going to show his hand, he had to do it soon. When I got back to my apartment, Jocko was already there. He was giving a concert for the mice.
Oh, she pushed a baby carriage, she pushed a baby carriage in the merry, merry month of May.
All right, Jocko.
She pushed a baby carriage, she pushed a baby carriage, she pushed it for a Williams man who's far, far away.
Oh, stop it, will you?
Patsy, I wish you'd get rid of that radio and buy a good harpsichord.
What'd you find out, Jocko?
Nothing from the China Star. She weighed anchor and went to sea at 11:45.
How about Reedy?
Well, there's heavy gambling money against him. And there's talk about a last-minute scandal. All the newspapers had tip-offs.
Where was he tonight?
At a rally in the Mission District with his whole family.
Well, that'd leave time for a plant. They broke open that package. It was full of dope.
Oh, that makes sense. He was once under treatment for malaria. The drugs found in his apartment would make it look bad.
Yeah, I'll get it. Hello, Novak talking.
I hope so, because you got a lot to do.
What's on your mind, Hellman?
A girl named Ellen Morrow. Who killed her?
Did they?
About 20 minutes ago. Vic Rothery's picture was all over the place.
Yeah, they were chums. You better pick up Sam Tolliver. He's at the Herrick Hotel.
I'd rather have Vic Rothery.
Haven't you picked him up yet?
No, we're on our way out.
Well, you better hurry, Hellman. There won't be any voters left.
I thought Sam Tolliver was a friend of yours.
Well, that's the trouble with close friends. You give them the shirt off your back so they can see where to put in the knife. After Hellman's call, I knew we were coming up for the last hand. I met him, and we rode down to Vic Rothery's hotel. It was early morning, just about the time Dawn is too sleepy to get out of bed. In the pale light, Geary Street looked like a shabby old lady with a snootful, and Rothery's hotel was worse. Hellman flashed a badge on the night clerk, who reached over and handed us a key. It was a funny thing to notice then, but the guy's hands were short, and his fingers were peeled and stained yellow as if they'd been dipped in weak acid. Well, we rode up to Rothery's room. As we got out of the elevator and turned the corner, somebody ducked into Rothery's room. That was enough for Hellman. He started down the hall.
Open up in there.
You got another customer, Hellman.
Open up. Come on in. You're going to wake everybody up.
Hello, Sam.
Come on in. Don't mind the gun. It's loaded.
You're a handy cop, Hellman.
That's it. I'll close the door. All right, over near the window.
Yeah.
Go on.
Sure. You got an answer for Rothery here?
You too, copper, over near the window.
I ask you got an answer for Rothery here?
You're looking at it, mister. You know, Patsy, I'm sorry you came. I could bounce a few off of this guy with no pain at all, but it's going to hurt on you.
Don't kid me, Sam.
I don't know why you came, Patsy. You could have left me alone. I didn't mean to put you in for this. Things went wrong and you were in, that's all, but I didn't mean to do it, Patsy.
Give the man your gun.
You were a good guy to me, Novak. I'm sorry you drew the deuce. I'm really sorry because, well, you were a good guy to me.
Well, I'm not anymore, Sam. You got 5 feet to make up your mind.
I got it made up, Patsy. Now stay back. Let me try it out on him first.
You've had practice.
Stay back, Patsy. I'm in a hole and I'll burn my way out. You know that. Patsy, I'm in a hole. I gotta get out.
Don't kid me, Sam. I was your last friend. All you got now is the road.
Stay back, Patsy, please. Patsy, stay back.
Let that, Sam,
I must have prayed wrong, Novak.
Yeah. Sorry, Sam. I'm a tough loser.
Yeah. You were right, Patsy. It's a bum town. A small robber.
For a while, you looked big.
Not for long, no.
No. You're a small-time bum, Sam, and you're better off dead.
I wouldn't argue it. I'm sorry, though.
I doubt it.
I guess that's right. I didn't try very hard.
How's your friend, Novak?
Let's go. The friendship's over. Well, Hellman finally pieced it all together. He got that skipper back and put him under the lights. The story was damp, but it fit together. They were all in on a deal to railroad John Reedy. Vic Rothery headed up a bunch to plant the dope in his apartment. But Sam Tolliver got anxious and decided to get the stuff for sale. He talked a couple of buddies into it and sent me out to the ship to pick it up. The captain smelled a switch and knocked me out long enough to get word to Rothery on the beach. Rothery got the guy in my office and the other guy that Sam posted in Reedy's place in case anything went wrong. That left only Sam on the other team. Rothery wore the uniform because it was an easy way to plant the stuff in Reedy's apartment. But the timetable went haywire and he got tripped up by that tip-off call to the Chronicle. That's about the way it was. Well, Hellman asked only one question. How come Sam Tolliver headed for the girls' place and then Rothery's? I don't know. Except maybe that note I left Sam. How'd I know he'd believe a lie? Well, it worked out for everybody except John Reedy. He lost the election anyway. Jocko forgot to mention the guy was a Republican.
Black Novak for Hire was previously released by ABC, the American Broadcasting Company, for listeners in the United States, and rebroadcast for our men and women overseas. This is the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.
The story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. You get a call from the receiving hospital in your city. A dead body has been left in the hospital elevator. There's no lead to the identity of the corpse. There's no apparent cause of death. Your job, investigate. Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
Yes, compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Buy Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, November 9th. It was foggy in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Bill Lockwood. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. It was 11:28 p.m. when we got to the third floor at Georgia Street Receiving Hospital, Dr. Terrell's office.
Friday, glad to see you. Been waiting for you.
We made it as soon as we could, Doctor. I'd like to have you meet my new partner, Bill Lockwood. Dr. Terrell, Bill.
How are you? I think I've seen you around, Lockwood.
Yes, sir. How are you?
I understand you got a problem, Doc. What's the story?
Odd one. Happened a few minutes after 11. You want to sit down a minute? I'll fill you in before we go back and take a look at the body.
Thank you very much.
I understand it's a woman, that right?
Yeah. Grace Morgan. She's the night nurse on duty. She told me she was sitting at the desk checking over some patients' cards. It was about 5-10 minutes after 11 when she heard the elevator come up.
Mm-hmm.
She heard the elevator stop and the doors open. Kept on checking the cards there, didn't pay any attention to it, and then she realized nobody got out of the elevator. She looked up, and the elevator doors were still open. She saw this young woman slumped over in a wheelchair, sitting there in the elevator.
The woman was alone, was she?
That's right. The nurse went over and wheeled her out of the elevator. The woman was wearing a nightgown, a bathrobe over that. She was unconscious. Nurse called me. The two of us took the woman into a treatment room. I examined her. She was dead.
Any indication how long?
The body was still warm. She'd only been dead a short time.
Any idea of the cause of death?
I noticed a couple of abrasions on her right shoulder, another one in the right temporal region. Not positive, but I don't think any of them were severe enough to cause death.
No other markings at all?
No, she seemed to have been in good physical condition. Noticed a strong smell of alcohol, though. Could be she'd been drinking.
Is the nurse pretty sure the woman came up the elevator alone? Possibility one of the attendants might have brought her up?
No, I checked with the attendant on duty down in the first floor lobby, Ray Collins. He didn't bring her up. He said a man came in the lobby about 11 o'clock, said he had a sick woman out in his car. He asked for a wheelchair to bring her in. Ray asked if he could help, but the man said he'd take care of it. That's all Ray knows about it. He let the man have a wheelchair, then he went in the back room to change some linens on the ambulance stretcher.
Mm-hmm. Any possibility one of the other attendants might have brought her up in the elevator?
No, Collins was the only attendant on duty.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to talk to him. Is he still around?
Yeah, I knew you'd want to see him. He was off duty 11:30. I held him over. He's down at the corner having a sandwich. He ought to be back in a few minutes.
And what do you figure, Doctor? Think the woman could have operated the elevator herself?
Possible. Not too probable, though. It's a self-operating elevator, automatic.
Mm-hmm.
Someone could have wheeled the woman into the elevator, pushed the button for the third floor, and then stepped back. Would have taken her straight up.
Yeah. The nurse is sure the elevator didn't go back down after it got up here, huh?
Positive. She heard the elevator doors open. They stayed that way. She kept waiting for someone to come out. And that's what attracted her attention.
I see. How about identification? Did the woman have a purse with her or anything like that, Doc?
No, all she had was what she was wearing. Nightgown, slippers, and bathrobe. Let's go back and have a look. I'll show you.
Okay, thank you.
You say the only markings on the body are those abrasions on the shoulder and the forehead.
Yeah, that's right.
And you don't think that's why she's dead? You got any ideas at all?
Well, I wouldn't want to say, Lockwood. Strange one. Going to have to wait for the autopsy.
Well, how about the wheelchair the woman came up in, Doc? Where's it now?
Back here in the same room with the body. I gave notice it wasn't to be touched. I knew you'd want to check.
Oh, fine.
In here.
All right, you smoke in here?
Yeah, sure.
Fine. Want a cigarette?
No, thanks.
Bill?
No.
Over here on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Nurse put the woman's clothing over there. Nightgown, slippers, bathrobe.
I see.
Seems to be a fairly young woman.
I'd say in her early 30s. Nice-looking girl. Well-groomed. Notice her hair and fingernails. Well-kept.
And bruise there on her head. Took a pretty good blow to cause that, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Might even be worse than it looks. Hard to say right now. Other abrasions I was telling you about, right here along the clavicle, seem to be fairly distinct. 3 or 4 of them.
That's all of them, huh?
That's it. Like I say, we'll know more after they post the body.
Mm-hmm.
Take a look at the clothing over here.
Mm-hmm. Want to check over the bathrobe, Bill?
Yeah.
There's no label here. Size marking, though. Size 34. Just an ordinary rayon nightgown. Seems to be fairly new. It's not damaged.
Nothing on the bathrobe, Joe. Both pockets empty. No visible markings. Manufacturer's label here. Fairly common trade name.
Mm-hmm. Laundry marks?
No, none showing. We can have the crime lab check them over. How about the slippers?
No, it's the same. Nothing.
You fellas want me to notify the coroner?
No, we'll get it, Doc. We have to call in for the crime lab crew anyway.
It looks like a rough one. We don't even know what we've got.
We can't figure it. If somebody murdered the woman, why'd they bring her here to die?
Yeah.
If she was sick or hurt and they were worried enough about it to bring her here, why'd they want to get rid of her? Leave her alone in an elevator.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. Somebody's got something to hide.
Sure could use a lead. Man puts her on the elevator and sends her up 3 floors. Don't know who she is, how she died. Don't even know where she came from.
Well, there's no choice. We'll just start at the beginning.
Yeah?
Ground floor. 11:52 p.m. The receiving hospital attendant, Ray Collins, returned, and we interviewed him in Dr. Terrell's office. He told us substantially the same thing the doctor had told us. At a few minutes past 11 o'clock that night, a man entered the lobby of the hospital and asked for a wheelchair to move a patient up to the 3rd floor. Collins stated he gave the man the wheelchair. The man refused his offer of assistance, and Collins went on about his work. He didn't see the patient, and he didn't see any car parked outside, and he was able to give us only a partial description of the man himself. A male Caucasian, about 35 years old, short, heavy build, dark hair. The crew from the crime lab arrived and began their investigation. The body was photographed and fingerprinted, and the wheelchair was also dusted for prints. The clothing was packed up to be taken downtown for further examination. After the men from the crime lab left, Bill Lockwood began a canvass of the immediate neighborhood for possible witnesses. Meantime, I checked with the rest of the hospital personnel and the patients. They could tell me nothing. 12:30 a.m., I met Bill back at Dr. Terrell's office.
How'd you do, Joe? Any luck?
When I talked to the nurses and some of the other attendants, they couldn't help any. Checked with the dispatcher on incoming and outgoing ambulances. Nothing there. What about you?
No good. Most of the business places around here are locked up. Talked to the newsboy down at the corner. He was about the only one on the street. He didn't see anything.
Sure going slow, isn't it? Might give Bergman a call, see if he's got the woman's prints classified yet.
How about the coroner? Show up yet?
Yeah, I think he's in there now. Yes, ma'am. Give me station 2557. Yeah, that's right. Latent prints. Hi, let me talk to Bergman, please. Right. Yeah, Dean, Joe Friday. No, we're still over at the hospital. You do any good on those prints? Uh-huh. Yeah, that's what we figured. How about her prints? Mm-hmm. Okay, Dean, thanks. Yeah, right. Well, we're still batting 1,000.
What do you say? They make her prints?
Nothing in records on her. Dean's going to send along a set to Washington, see if they got anything.
How about the wheelchair? Any prints there?
Well, the nurses and Doc Terrell's, that's all. We figured on that, didn't we?
Lousy luck.
Sure is. I checked with missing persons while you were out. There's nothing there either.
Well, that about finishes up here, huh?
Yeah, we better get back to the office.
Joe?
Yeah, Doc.
I think I got something for you here.
Yeah?
Nurse at the switchboard got a call a minute ago. Man's voice wanted to know the condition of Carla Cheswick.
Mm-hmm.
Nurse checked the list of patients, didn't find anyone by that name. The man insisted she's here. The nurse asked him what time the woman was admitted to the hospital. He told her 11 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
The man said, I know she's there. I brought her myself.
Along with Dr. Terrell, Bill Lockwood and I went down the hall and talked to the nurse who'd received the phone call. She told us that she tried to question the caller as to his name and his relationship to the alleged patient, Carla Cheswick, but the man refused and hung up. We put in a call to R&I and asked him to run the name for us. There was no one by that name in the files. We went back to the doctor's office and started checking through the telephone directories. In the northwestern section, we found a listing for a Mrs. Carla Z. Cheswick on North Capitol Avenue. We called the number, but there was no answer. Then we checked with the office, told them what we had, and that we were going to follow through on it. 1:18 a.m. It was only a possibility, but it had to be checked out. Bill Lockwood and I left Georgia Street Receiving Hospital, got in the car, and drove out to the address on North Capitol Avenue. It was a large apartment house, fairly new. The name on the mailbox for apartment 18 was Mrs. Carla Cheswick. We rang, but there was no answer. We finally had to get the manager out of bed, a Mrs. Herbert. We identified ourselves and explained the reason for our visit. She got a pass key, showed us upstairs to the second floor, and let us in apartment 18. There was no one there, but there was evidence of a recent party within a matter of hours. Half-filled cocktail glasses, an empty whiskey bottle, a glass bowl containing partially melted ice cubes. An end table in the corner had been overturned. In the bedroom, women's clothing was scattered on the floor and on the dressing table. On the mantel in the living room, there was a picture of a woman.
Did you notice anything unusual about her at that time, Miss Herbert? I mean, anything out of the ordinary?
No, don't think so. She'd been drinking some. I'm pretty sure of that, but that's not unusual for Mrs. Cheswick. She drinks quite a bit. Parties and things. Runs around a lot.
Yes, ma'am. You didn't notice anything about her face? No cuts, bruises, anything like that?
No, nothing like that. Why?
And you told us she had quite a few men friends. Do you know any of their names, where they live?
No, can't say to do. She was just one of the tenants. I didn't try to get acquainted. Didn't have much in common with her. The other tenants didn't either, matter of fact. She kept pretty much to herself, her and her friends.
Mm-hmm. I see. Now, about this party she had last night, Miss Herbert, you say you don't know who was there with her?
No, I'm afraid I don't. When I called her on the phone to ask her to quiet things down, I heard that one man's voice talking. That's about all, though. I couldn't tell you who was there.
Well, is there anyone at all that you know of that was close to her? I mean, someone we could talk to about her.
Well, her husband, I suppose. He's the only one close to her I know. He comes around every month and takes care of the rent. Kind of a peculiar thing, but I never questioned it. I figured it's their business, live and let live.
Do you have any idea where we can find the husband?
No, I'm not sure. He works at a machine shop out near Glendale. I have his home address in my rent book downstairs if you want it.
Yes, ma'am. We'd like to have that if we could. Would you happen to know how Mrs. Cheswick and her husband got along? I mean, the separation of theirs. Was it friendly, or did they still quarrel quite a bit?
No, as far as I know, they got along all right, as long as they didn't have to live together. Poor Mr. Cheswick, I feel sorry for him. He's going to take it hard. His wife, I don't know whether to blame or pity her. She was a terrible disappointment to him.
That's so?
I had a long talk with him once. Seemed like such a nice man, hard worker. And his wife, he was so disgusted. I mean, drinking all the time, going out with different men. Bitter disappointment. He told me how he felt.
Well, did he seem violent on the subject? I mean, did he feel anger toward his wife? Would you
know? No, just pity. He said he'd rather have her dead than go on the way she was.
We checked through the dead woman's apartment for names and addresses of some of her men friends, but we found nothing. The crew from the crime lab went over the apartment thoroughly. The only evidence found were fingerprints on some of the cocktail glasses. Along with the apartment manager, Mrs. Herbert, we went downstairs and she gave us Mr. Cheswick's home address and also his place of employment. 2:30 a.m. We got to a phone and called Cheswick's home, but the people he was staying with told us that he wasn't there. He was working the all-night shift at a farm implement factory on Glendale Boulevard. 3:05 a.m. Bill and I drove out to the factory and checked with the night personnel superintendent. He directed us to the factory repair shop where Cheswick was employed as a welder. The foreman at the repair shop pointed him out for us. Cheswick was working on the welding line, a tall, thin man, slight build. Bill Lockwood and I went back and introduced ourselves.
Yes, sir. Ernie Cheswick. That's my name. What can I do for you?
I'd like to talk to you for a few minutes if we could. It's about your wife, sir.
Carla? What's the matter? Is she in trouble again?
Well, it might be better if we could step outside and talk. It won't take very long.
All right, I got to finish up this little job here, if you don't mind waiting. A couple of pieces of tubing. It won't take a minute.
Sure, you go right ahead.
You might stand back a couple of steps. This thing pops a little.
Okay, thanks.
Too much oxygen. I have to light it again. Yeah, that does it.
Don't look at the flames, Joe. Bad for your eyes.
Yeah, I know.
They're sure in their money, don't they?
Yeah, they seem to. A lot of work.
Finish in a second here. Okay, that's got it. Now, what's this about my wife, Sergeant? What's the matter?
We understand you're separated from her, Mr. Cheswick.
Yeah, that's right. About a year ago now. I finally gave it up as a bad job. Wasn't anything I could do for her. Nothing anybody could do for her. Hopeless.
Well, when's the last time you saw her?
First of the month. Went by to pay her rent. Dropped in to say hello, that's all. I stay away as much as I can. No good bum, that's about all you can say about her. Shame to admit I was even married to her. Why do you ask, anyway?
Your wife's dead, Mr. Cheswick.
Huh?
Yes, sir. She died late last night. Found her at Georgia Street Receiving Hospital.
Oh. Guess I've been expecting something like that. I can't feel sorry. Probably the best thing for her. How'd it happen?
Well, we're not sure. I wonder if we could step outside. Sure be a lot easier to talk, wouldn't it?
Yeah, all right.
Fine.
Over here, we can duck out the back way.
Okay.
You say they found her at Georgia Street, huh? What was it? She in an accident?
Also, it doesn't look like that. We're going to have to wait for the coroner's report. What time do you check in at night for work, Mr. Cheswick?
We're supposed to be on the job by 10 o'clock. I punched in before that tonight. Why?
A routine question. I suppose the men around the plant will vouch for you. You checked in at 10 and you've been here ever since?
Yeah, that's right. You can ask any of them. What's the pitch? You think I had something to do with it? Carla getting killed?
Well, we didn't say that, Cheswick. Your wife's dead, and we have to check on all the leads, all the possible suspects.
Well, I don't know how it happened, but I didn't have anything to do with it. She wasn't why I lived 9 years with her. Lousiest 9 years of my life. Booze, parties, going out all the time. She wasn't a wife. She didn't know what the word meant.
I understand she's been running around with different men lately. Do you happen to know any of them?
No, I don't know. I couldn't care less. Stupid dame, Sergeant. That's the easiest way you can let her off. I tried to make a go of it. Wasn't any good. I worked for her, tried to give her everything she wanted. Didn't make any difference.
Yeah?
She was a bum. Some of them must be born that way, a bum dame. I could have killed her. I had reason enough to. I didn't.
How about your wife's drinking habits? She do most of it at home, or did she go out to bars?
Always at the bar. Only one place she ever went to. Place on 8th and Rosewood, right on the corner. Went there all the time, 6-7 nights a week. She'd hang over the bar all night. I just like to put up with that for 9 years, huh? Drinking, going off somewhere on weekend.
Well, how come it lasted that long, Cheswick?
I don't know. I guess I should have had my head examined. Just a bum. I figured I could change her. Kept trying. Never worked out. After the drinking, she'd have these terrific headaches that make her sick. I'd stay home from work and take care of her, wait on her hand and foot. She'd always make promises, nothing but a liar. As soon as she got well, she'd start it all over again, same thing.
Yeah.
Just a bum, a tramp. No good at all, no good. Just a tramp, no good tramp.
Cheswick? Mr. Cheswick, is there anything we can do?
Carla. She's dead. Carla.
When the dead woman's husband, Ernest Cheswick, recovered, we continued questioning him, but we got nowhere. Before we left the plant, we checked his time card, talked to the machine shop foreman and some of the men Cheswick worked with. We got the same story all along the line. Cheswick had showed up for work at 9:46 p.m. the night before and had not left the plant since that time. 4:35 a.m. Bill and I got in a car, drove back to the office, and typed up a 15.7 report for Captain Lorman. 8:30 a.m. Over in the county morgue, the body of Mrs. Cheswick was being posted. A few minutes past 10 a.m., Bill Lockwood and I drove out to a bar on the corner of 8th and Rosewood, the same bar where Ernest Cheswick told us his wife did most of her drinking. It was a typical neighborhood cocktail lounge in the early morning. 2 customers sipping beer at the far end of the bar. The manager busy washing glasses and bringing in supplies. We called him over and identified ourselves.
Popular girl. Married old Ernie Cheswick. They're separated now.
Yeah, do you know if she was in here last night?
That's right, she was. Hardly Mrs. Knight. Why?
Would you happen to know about what time she left last night?
8:30, about that. You might ask that fellow there down behind the bar. He'd know better than me.
Well, how's that?
He left with her.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
To show our confidence in Fatima, we make this money-back guarantee.
Buy a pack of Fatimas. Enjoy Fatima quality, extra mildness, and superbly blended tobaccos.
If you're not convinced Fatima is better than the king-size cigarette you're now smoking, just return the pack and the unsmoked Fatimas by August 1st, 1952, for your money back plus postage. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1.
Prove Fatima quality yourself. Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright sunny yellow pack. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
November 10th, Thursday, 10:14 a.m. The manager of the cocktail lounge pointed out the man at the end of the bar who was supposed to have left the place shortly after 8 o'clock the night before with the dead woman, Carla Cheswick. Bill Lockwood and I went up to the man, identified ourselves, and questioned him briefly. He appeared tense and highly nervous. He told us his name was John Gables, an assistant sales manager for a downtown jewelry concern. He didn't deny that he was in the bar the night before, but he refused to admit that he left with Mrs. Cheswick. He insisted he didn't even know her. We asked him to account for how he spent his time the night before, but he refused. We got in the car and drove downtown to the city hall. While Bill took the suspect to the interrogation room, I stopped by the R&I counter and had to make a run on Gables. He had no previous criminal record. I called the morgue, but there was no report on the autopsy yet. 10:52 a.m. I signed in at the office, briefed Captain Lorman on the developments, and then I headed down the hall for the interrogation room.
We had a couple of drinks together, and that's all there was to it. You can ask anybody who was there. She got up and left by herself. I didn't go with her.
And Joe?
Yeah.
Gables here was just telling me he did see Mrs. Cheswick in the bar last night. Had a couple of drinks with her.
Why'd you hold out, Gables? Why couldn't you told us that when we asked you?
I didn't remember then. You came up to me in the bar, started asking questions. I got all rattled. Didn't make any difference, though. I didn't even know her name. Just had those couple of drinks with her, and then she got up and left. That's all. I didn't go out with her.
The bartender says you did. He's sure of it. Says he can get half a dozen other people to back him up.
He's wrong. He's got to be. He's thinking of somebody else.
Well, if you didn't leave the bar with Ms. Cheswick, when did you leave?
I don't know. About 5 or 10 minutes later, I guess.
Where'd you go then?
I walked around a little bit, got a little fresh air. And I went to a show.
Which one?
I don't remember the name of the place. It's on Rosewood, a couple of blocks down from the bar.
What picture did you see?
I'm not sure. I had a couple of drinks.
You went to the movies? You don't even know what you saw?
Well, I told you I had a couple of drinks. Feeling pretty good. I just don't remember, that's all.
Not much of an alibi, Gables.
What are you talking about? I don't need an alibi.
A woman's dead, mister. You were with her the last time she was seen alive.
I wasn't with her. I don't care what anybody tells you. I wasn't with her.
This movie you say you went to. What time did you get out?
After midnight, I think. I don't remember.
Where'd you go after that?
Bar. Had a few more drinks, and then I went back to my hotel.
Which bar was that?
Place on West 7th. I go there sometimes. I know the bartender.
What time did you leave there?
Closing time, 2 o'clock, and then I went back to my hotel.
You say you know the bartender there. I guess he'd be glad to vouch for you. I mean that you were there when you said you were.
I don't know. Maybe not. He was pretty busy last night. Maybe he didn't notice me.
How about your hotel?
Huh?
The desk clerk. Somebody like that. They should be able to tell what time you got in, don't you think?
Well, they wouldn't know. I always carry my key with me. I go in the side door. They wouldn't know what time I got in.
What are you trying to sell, mister?
What are you talking about?
You knocked around town from 8 o'clock last night till past 2 o'clock this morning. You can't think of anyone that could vouch for you, where you were, what time you got there, what time you left?
I can't think of anybody right now. I don't take down names and addresses every time somebody looks at me. What's the difference anyway? I didn't have anything to do with the girl.
This difference, Gables. The attendant at the hospital, he got a good look at the man who came in and asked for that wheelchair. He gave us the man's description. It fits you pretty close.
So what? It doesn't mean anything. He could make a mistake, too, just like that bartender.
They're all wrong but you. Is that what you're trying to say?
Look, as far as I'm concerned, I only got one thing to say. I had a couple of drinks with Carla last night, and that's all. She left by herself. I didn't even go near the apartment.
How'd you know she had an apartment?
Well, you told me. You said so.
No, we didn't say anything like that.
And I guess I heard it around the bar. Maybe she mentioned to me. Yeah, that's probably it.
Why don't you come off it, Gables?
Come off what? I don't even know what you're getting at.
We want a straight story, and we're not getting it. You told us you didn't even know the Cheswick woman before last night. You didn't even know her name.
That's right.
Then why'd you say Carla just a minute ago? You said I had a couple of drinks with Carla.
I say that?
That's what you said.
Maybe I just hadn't remembered. I was drinking quite a bit, talking to her. Maybe I just remembered it.
Won't do, Gables. Story doesn't hold water. How about it?
I don't know. I was drinking quite a bit. A lot of things I don't remember.
How about giving it to us straight? What do you remember?
I thought about it all night. The more I went over it, the worse it got. I just couldn't remember. I knew what it would sound like in court. I couldn't tell it that way.
You couldn't tell what?
I didn't kill her. I didn't even touch her. You got to believe that.
Yeah.
I left the bar with her about 8:15, 8:30. She invited me up to her apartment. She was pretty well gone. Had quite a few drinks.
Mm-hmm.
We got there and had some more to drink, and then Carla got up and started for the kitchen to get some more ice. She tripped, I think, stumbled a little bit, and then she fell down. I think that's the way it was.
All right, go on.
She tried to get up, and then she fell again. It wasn't a bad fall, though. I figured she just passed out. Got some cold towels, ice water. I tried to bring her around. It wasn't any good. She was white as a sheet. I got scared. I didn't know what happened.
What'd you do then?
I don't remember. I just kept trying to bring her around. I don't remember any of it very well. I don't even know why she fell down.
You think you could have hit her, Gables? You think maybe that's why she fell down?
No. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think I was mad at her for anything. I think we were having a pretty good time. I just don't remember, that's all. I'm not sure about any of it. Lousy booze, no good at all.
Did you kill her, Gables?
No, Sergeant, I swear it. As far as I can remember, I didn't. We were having a good time. That's all I know. I know I wasn't mad. I'm not a nasty drunk, not as far as I can remember anyway.
What'd you do when you couldn't revive Mrs. Cheswick? You brought her to the hospital?
Yeah, the shape I was in, I couldn't figure anything else to do. I got her in the car, drove her down to Georgia Street. I put her in the elevator, pressed the button, and sent her up. I'm a married man, you know. I didn't want any scandal and didn't want to get involved.
You didn't kill her. Is that what you want us to believe?
I don't know what to tell you. I don't remember. If I killed her, I think I'd know it. I'm sure I would. I just don't remember.
I'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
Interrogation room, Friday talking. Yeah, Arthur. That's so. Just a second. All right, I got a pencil now. Go ahead. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. You sure? How was that? I see. No possibility, huh? Yeah, I see. Okay, Arthur, thanks a lot. Yeah, sure, we'll pick it up later. Right, bye.
Yeah, Jim?
Coroner's report just finished the autopsy. It's all right, Gables.
Huh?
It's all right, it's all cleared up.
What do you mean?
Well, you're free to go if you like. We're not going to hold you.
What's the pitch, Joe?
Coroner's report. Primary cause of death was a massive cerebral hemorrhage into the ventricle.
Could have been a blow on the head, couldn't it? You figure that could have done it?
No. Secondary cause was a brain tumor, a big one. Coroner says she's had it for years. Must have caused her a lot of pain. Probably would have accounted for the drinking.
And the tumor wrote on the hemorrhage. That's what's killed her.
That's it. Coroner says erosion of the blood vessel by brain tumor. Probably grew, caused pressure on a blood vessel, finally gave way, caused a hemorrhage, and that killed her.
And she just died. I didn't have anything to do with it. She died and I didn't kill her.
Yes, sir, that's right. You're free to go if you want.
Thank God. You know, officers, I'll tell you the truth. I didn't know the answer. I didn't know if I killed her or not. I really didn't. Drinking so much, came to, and there she was dead. I didn't know what happened. I really didn't. I didn't know the answer.
Well, you're one up on us, Gables.
Huh?
We thought we did.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On Thursday, November 10th, the meeting was held in the office of Captain of Homicide. In a moment, the results of that meeting.
And now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, there's not much I can add to what George Fenneman and Hal Gibney have already told you about Fatimas. If you smoke them, I know you'll agree with me that Fatima is the best of all king-size cigarettes. If you haven't tried them yet, well, there's only one way to prove it to yourself, and that's to buy a pack and give them a try. I wish you would kind of check up on what we've been telling you. Compare Fatimas with any other king-size cigarette. You'll like Fatima's better flavor and aroma, its extra mild and soothing smoke. In Fatima, the difference is quality. Buy a pack tomorrow. Fatima.
With the filing of the official autopsy report by the county coroner, John Gables was cleared of all charges. He was released from custody immediately. The death of Mrs. Carla Cheswick was listed as due to natural causes by the coroner's jury.
Ladies and gentlemen, last year's traffic death toll was 37,500, a 7% increase over 1950. The National Safety Council believes that the best way to promote safety on the road is for each of us to know and obey traffic laws, to read and heed traffic signs. So be careful. The life you save may be your own.
Just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Police, WADUH, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advice by Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Martin Wynn, Sergeant Patty Spree. Heard tonight on Milton Earl, Victor, and Brennan Delana. Script by Chiser. Music by Shoot, half guild speaking.
For 6 size cigarettes as Dragnet transcribed from Los Angeles.
No, it's first spy on me.
The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet on both radio and television.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to burglary detail. For more than 2 months, a wave of safe burglaries has been sweeping your city. Apparently, it's the work of professionals. The jobs are well planned, well executed. There's no lead to the whereabouts of the suspects. Your job, get them. Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
Yes, compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Buy Fatima in the bright, sunny yellow pack. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Sunday, June 8th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of burglary division, safe detail. My partner's Bill Lockwood. The boss is Captain Wisdom. My name's Friday. I was on the way back to the office, and it was 8:36 a.m. when I got to room 45, burglary division.
Joe?
Oh, hi, Smith.
There's a note in the book for us from the captain about your partner, Lockwood.
Yeah, what's that?
Forgot to make that sick report on him yesterday. Did you call him? How's his leg?
Well, I talked to him on the phone last night. Pretty bad ankle sprain. Doctor figures he'll be out for a couple of weeks anyway. Who's the fellow you got there?
Suspect Jones and McCready picked up on stakeout, drugstore, 3rd and Ventura.
What do you got on him?
McCready says they picked him up about 4:45 this morning. He and Jones were staked out inside the drugstore. Saw this fellow drive up in the car, get out, and try the front door of the place. And he went around and back of the place, tried the back door, then he came around in front again, tried to jimmy the door. Finally gave up, got in his car, and started to drive off. Jones and McCready followed him, picked him up, and brought him in.
Where's Jones and McCready now, do you know?
I told him to go ahead home. No reason for him to hang around. We carried the thing from here.
What have you done so far? Did you check him through R&I yet?
Call Frank Cunningham. He's doing it now.
What's his name?
According to his identification, it's Charles W. Boyd, and address at 239 West 92nd Street. That's what he tells us anyway.
Mm-hmm. Is that your name, fella?
Yeah, that's my name. Saw my identification. No reason for me to lie. You can check me out.
All right. Hold your hand up there. I'll get these cuffs off you.
Yeah, sure.
All right, there you are.
Yeah, thanks. Sure tired sitting here handcuffed, sitting in one place.
Frank, you want to tell Gaffney we'll be down in the interrogation room? When R&I calls back, tell him to transfer it in there, would you?
Yeah, okay. I'll meet you there.
All right, thanks. All right, boy, let's go. I can talk to you down the hall.
Yeah, let's get this thing over with. I don't feel good. I want to get out of here.
What are you shaking for? There's nothing to get nervous about. Are you sick?
Yeah, I haven't been feeling good at all the last couple of days. Wouldn't you know it, I smoked. Hey, say, would you happen to have a cigarette, please?
Yeah. Here.
Thanks.
There's a light for you.
Yeah, I got it, thanks.
All right. Turn around a minute, will you? Let me look at your eyes.
Huh?
Turn around. All right, let's go.
It's okay, Joe. I told Gaffney he'll put through the call tomorrow night.
Oh, that's fine.
You sure this won't take long? I'd like to get out of here and get home. I've been sick for a week. I ought to be in bed right now.
We'll make it as fast as we can. All right, in here.
Have a chair, Boyd.
Yeah.
All right, mister. You say you're not feeling well, you're tired, you want to go home. So are we. We've been working all night. Now, how about getting to the bottom of this thing?
I'm sure I'm all for it. Try to explain to the guys who picked me up. I don't know what it's all about. Ask me anything you want.
Now, let's start it here, Boyd. What were you doing out there hanging around that drugstore at 4:45 this morning?
It's the same thing I told the other officers. I was sick. I wanted to get something for my nerves. Jumpy as a cat. I couldn't sleep.
Well, the drugstore was closed. That was pretty obvious, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. It was. I just drove up there, tried the door, and I saw the joint was closed, so I left. That's all there is to it. Just what I told the other
No, that's not true, Boyd, and you know it isn't. You hung around the store for more than 10 minutes. You tried the front door, then you waited a couple of minutes. You went around to the back. You tried to get in back there. You couldn't make it, so you came around front again. You tried to jimmy the front door, didn't you?
No, that's not it. You got it all wrong.
How about this, Boyd? This your crowbar?
Yeah, what about it? Just a car tool used to fix flat tires. Carry it around all the time in the car.
You carry it on you?
No, not all the time. I just happen to have it, that's all.
Now, look, Boyd, that's not going to get it. The officers that picked you up saw you using this bar on the door of that drugstore. I thought you were willing to get on the facts. You were going to square with us. How about it?
Sure, I'll square with you. I wanted to get over as much as you do. Just tell me what you want to know.
All we want is the truth. This address on your ID, the one you gave us, is that your true address? You're living there now?
Yeah, that's right. Check it out if you want. I'm not lying. No reason to lie.
We think there is. This address of yours is just about 10 miles away from where you were picked up. Now you tell us how much sense it makes driving 10 miles to a drugstore at 4:30 in the morning.
Well, I had to. I was sick. It was the only place open.
You're lying and you know it, mister. You had to pass at least 2 all-night drugstores on the way. Why couldn't you stop at one of those?
I didn't see any stores open. I was sick. I just kept driving till I spotted a place I thought was open. Looked to me like it was open. A lot of lights in the window, inside the store, too. I didn't know it was closed, so I tried the door.
You usually try doors with a crowbar, Boyd?
Oh, look, what are you getting at? You think I was trying to break in that place?
Yeah, that's what we think.
Well, what for? Well, I want to break in there. I wanted to get something for my nerves, that's all. I wanted to find a drugstore. Why should I open a place and just get a bottle of medicine? Huh?
We don't think you were looking for medicine, Boyd.
Well, then what was it? Well, what do you figure?
This is what we figure, mister. You were going in that store to burglarize the safe. The area's the same, the time element's right, so is the type of business. The M.O. matches right down the line.
I don't know what you're talking about.
6 safe jobs in the last 2 months. The same time element, the same general area. Drugstores, liquor stores, and markets. What about it?
I don't know what you're talking about. It's the truth. I'm not a burglar. You got me wrong. I never touched a safe in my life.
How many times you been arrested, mister?
Huh?
How many times you been arrested?
Well, a couple of times. I've been picked up. Nothing serious, though, so help me. It's the truth. I never touched a safe in my whole life.
It's not going to do much good lying to us, Boyd. We'll get everything we need from records.
Well, I got a record. I ain't denying that, but I'm no burglar.
Now, what were you doing at 4:45 this morning trying to get in that drugstore if you're not a burglar?
I tried to explain to you. I wasn't trying to break in. I needed some medicine, something for my nerves. I thought the place was open. I'm a sick man. I swear on a Bible officer. That's just the way it was.
I get it. Yeah, Friday talking. Oh, yeah, coming. Charles Boyd. Yeah, that's right. That's him. What do you got? Uh-huh. All the same. I think. Give me the last 2 arrests. No, the last 2 arrests again. Yeah. May 9th, May 22nd. All right, Cunningham. Yeah, thanks very much. Frank, you got that folder there, those crime reports?
Yeah, here you are. What do you have to say?
Boyd was in custody May 9th, May 22nd.
What was he in on?
Narcotics. He's a user. Long record. It's all the same, though. Never been picked up for anything but narcotics.
Just about rules him out, huh? 9th and the 22nd. If he was in jail, he couldn't have had anything to do with those last 2 judges.
Yeah, that's about the size of it.
You got it straight now, huh? I told you. You thought I was lying, didn't you? I'm no burglar. You know what my record is. I never touched a safe in my life.
Just checking it out, Boyd. Sometimes it happens this way.
Sure. No hard feelings. I take off now and go home. I'm not feeling well at all. I guess it's okay if
No, you just sit still, Boyd. You're not going yet.
What do you mean?
Red tab on your card down at the Record Bureau. Your last arrest, May 22nd, violation State Narcotics Act.
You went out on a $1,500 bail?
Yeah, that's right. It was all legal. I paid for it.
Why didn't you show up for your preliminary hearing? We got a bench warrant for your arrest.
Oh, no, they wouldn't do that to me, would they? I was sick in bed. I couldn't make it to court. You just look at me. You can tell, can't you? I ought to be in bed.
Yeah, you don't look good at all.
Of course I don't. I'm a sick man, really sick. I'll be in a hospital.
Well, maybe that's where they'll send you. We continued questioning the suspect, Charles Boyd, who finally admitted that he'd gone to the drugstore early that morning for the purpose of burglarizing the place to obtain narcotics. He told us it was his first attempt at burglary, and further interrogation proved beyond a doubt he had nothing to do with the current wave of safe burglaries. He was booked on the bench warrant, and narcotics detail was notified of his arrest. For all practical purposes, we were right back where we'd started from 2 months before, when the campaign of safe jobs first started. Boyd was just another in a long line of possible suspects who had to be tracked down and checked out. In the final analysis, they meant nothing to the case, but tracking them down and checking them out meant long hours of legwork, days, even weeks, and then more hours spent interrogating them. Boyd typified the possible suspect. He added nothing, but he couldn't be ignored. In the weeks that followed, stakeouts continued in the general area where the safe burglaries had been operating. No further leads. The investigation went on. On June 17th, Frank Smith and I drove out to the San Fernando Valley to check a lead on a possible suspect we'd gotten from one of our informants. His information was that the possible suspect, an ex-convict by the name of Mark Chandler, who'd served time for burglary, had apparently come into some money recently. Through the parole office, we located Chandler on a chicken ranch just outside of Van Nuys.
Yeah, I've been out here almost 3 months now. Nice life. Pretty hard work, though. Got a few routine questions for you, Mark. Like we told you, we're from burglary detail. I guess you know why we're out here.
Yeah, I think I get the idea. I admit there was a time when you wouldn't be very welcome, but right now it's different. Anything I can do to help, it's all right, fellas.
We're going to lay it right on the table for you, Mark. You own this place, do you?
Yeah, that's right. Me and my brother.
Where'd the money come from?
My brother. He set the whole thing up.
You say you and your brother. Whose money bought the place, Mark?
Well, my brother made the down payment. You can check on it. The whole deal went through escrow right down here at the local bank. What's the deal anyway? Didn't you check with my parole officer?
Yeah, we checked with Galloway. He told us you were still on active parole. You were running a chicken ranch. Didn't say it was for your brother, though.
Well, I thought I filled him in on it. I didn't have enough cash to swing the deal. My brother put up most of the dough. I only had $800.
That's your car back there in the driveway, Mark?
No, it's my brother's. Nice one, huh?
Yeah.
I got permission from the parole officer to drive. Say, would you mind walking back with me to the Brooder Shack? I got a new batch of Rhode Islands in this morning. Day-old chicks. Got to be sure the heat's right.
Yeah, all right.
There's a lot of work around a place like this. I just built those pens there.
They're nice.
Good-looking flock of chicks there, wouldn't you say? 4 weeks old. Those are bar drops. Notice how they're starting to feather out already, getting nice and heavy? Make wonderful fryers, you know.
Oh, that's all?
Oh, yeah. Just a minute. Hey, will you look at that mash rack? They like fiends. I just filled that thing an hour ago. That's where the money goes. You know that mash goes for better than $5 a sack?
Look, we don't want to take too much of your time, Chandler. We can see you're busy. We've got a couple of dates we'd like to check with you. Where you were, what you did.
Oh, sure, fellow. Just let me check the temperature in the Brooder house here. It won't take a minute. Hey, come on in.
All right.
They're pretty cute when they're small, huh? Let me see here.
Just look at that, huh, Joe? Piled all over each other. Must be more than 1,000 of them.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah, just right. 89. Got to watch them pretty close the first week. Fell up the road, lost a big batch last week. Heating element in the Brooder went out overnight. Oh, yeah, got to shove that door hard. Sticks a little.
Yeah, I'll get it.
Okay, what else was it, officers? Glad to help you any way I can.
Those dates we want to check, Mark. It was almost a month ago, the week ending May 7th.
Yeah.
Can you account for your time on that weekend, where you were, what you did?
The 7th? Let's see. Yeah, I was here.
Any way of proving that?
Yeah, I think so. I started here the 23rd of April. Been here every night since.
Anyone we can check with on that?
Well, my brother and his wife. They were here, they can tell you. Neighbors, too. They come over for cards on the weekend. Come to think of it, I remember my parole officer was out to see me one of those weekends. I'm pretty sure of it. You can check with him.
All right, Mark, thanks.
Hey, what's the pitch anyway, Sergeant? The safe jobs around town, is that it?
That's it. You heard anything, Mark? Any rumbles at all?
No, sorry. This job keeps me pretty close to home. I don't get around at all. Maybe 2-3 nights a month. That's the only time I get out.
That's all we're asking about. Before we left the suspect, Mark Chandler, we called his parole officer, and he substantiated the fact that he visited with Chandler on the night of May 7th, the date of one of the safe burglaries. We checked with his brother, his sister-in-law, and the neighbors, and all of them fully corroborated his story. Before we left, we were satisfied that Chandler had nothing to do with the safe burglaries. It was just another of the more than 100 possibles that we'd checked out in the course of the investigation. On June 22nd, we got a lead on still another one. It came from the proprietor of a fix-it shop on West Pico Boulevard near Normandy. We drove out to interview him. He gave his name as Harold Van Owen.
Yeah, just a minute, officers. Be with you in a minute, all right?
Yeah, okay.
Have to get these keys made. The lady will be back soon. Says she needs them.
What time you got, Frank?
10 to 12. Getting hungry?
Well, I didn't have much breakfast. How about dropping by Felipe's, all right?
Fits me. I could use a good French dip sandwich. Haven't been down there for a while.
Yeah.
All right, officer. Sorry to keep you waiting. I had to get keys done. I promised the woman.
That's all right, Mr. Van Owen. Well, what was it you wanted to see us about?
Well, I don't know, to tell the truth. Maybe it's something, maybe it's nothing at all. I just don't know. Figured I ought to let somebody know about it, so.
Yes, sir?
A young fellow was in here the day before yesterday. Said his name was Ralph McKinley. Told me he lived around the neighborhood, but I don't think I ever saw him before. He didn't act right to me.
Mm-hmm.
Said he's an inventor. I doubt it, though. He just didn't look the part to me. A young fellow, you know, dresses pretty flashy. Never met an inventor that looked like that before.
Well, what do you want with you, sir?
He wanted me to make up a piece of machinery for him. He said it was a special part of a new gadget he was working on. He brought in his own drawing of the thing. I got it down here someplace.
Well, what did the young fellow look like? Would you remember that?
Oh, typical poolroom cowboy, I guess. About 29, 30 years old. Thin side, tall. Got a lot of gray hair for a young fella. His hair was almost gray. Here's the drawing. This is what he wants me to make up for him.
What do you think it's supposed to be?
Miss McKinley said it was part of a new hydraulic press he's working on. I got a few doubts about that.
How do you mean?
Oh, I've been tinkering around in this business long enough to know what goes into a hydraulic press. Can't see where this thing fits in at all.
Well, what's your idea on it?
I think it's a pull. Only one job they're any good for.
Yeah.
Breaking into a safe.
Before we left the fix-it shop, Van Owen gave us a complete description of Ralph McKinley, the man who'd ordered the gadget made for him. We showed him several mug shots of possible suspects, but he was unable to make any identification. Van Owen told us that McKinley said he'd call back in about 3 or 4 days to pick it up. Except for the man's chance remark that he lived in the neighborhood, Van Owen had no idea as to his whereabouts. 12:10 p.m. We drove back to the office and made arrangements for an immediate stakeout at the fix-it shop. Then we checked the name and description of Ralph McKinley through R&I and through the staff's office. It got us nothing. As far as we could find out, he had no previous criminal record. The end of the week came and went. The man known as McKinley failed to show up at Van Owen's fix-it shop to pick up the article that he'd ordered. 8 o'clock Monday morning, June 28th. We got the report and we checked in for work. Despite all precautions, another safe job had occurred over the weekend, this time at a liquor store on South Alvarado. The time, the area, and the M.O. were generally the same. Frank and I drove out to the location. The store was located in the middle of the block, directly beneath an apartment hotel. 2 of the rooms on the second floor of the hotel were situated above the liquor store. In one of these rooms, a hole had been ripped in the floor. A hole large enough to allow a man to pass through it and gain access to the liquor store directly beneath. After we checked over the room, we put in a call for Ray Pinker and the crime lab crew. Then we went downstairs to interview the manager of the hotel, Clyde Winters.
Yeah, I rented that room Friday night. A couple of young fellows. They checked in a few minutes before 7. I figure I'm a pretty good judge of faces. It sure didn't look like thieves to me.
How'd they register, Mr. Winters?
Well, one signed his name was Gordon. The other one was Richardson, I think. Yeah, the register's right outside on the desk. You can check it if you like.
Yes, sir, we'd like to do that. When these 2 men, Gordon and Richardson, checked in here, did they have any baggage with them? Would you know that?
Oh, yes. If they had baggage, they took most of it with them, though. They left a few old clothes behind. They must have left for the back way sometime late Sunday night, I figure. Imagine tearing up the floor of that room, the lousy bums. I'd sure like to get my hands on them.
Did they have a car, do you know?
Yeah, they had a car. I got the license number, too.
You think you'd recognize the 2 men if you saw them again?
Oh, I'd peg them in a minute.
You sure of that, are you?
Possible. I'd know him in a minute, especially the young fellow Richardson. He could have been more than 27, 28 years old. Yeah. Hair was gray, almost completely gray.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
To show our confidence in Fatima, we make this money-back guarantee.
Buy a pack of Fatimas. Enjoy Fatima quality, extra mildness, and superbly blended tobaccos.
If you're not convinced Fatima is better than the king-size cigarette you're now smoking, just return the pack and the unsmoked Fatimas by August 1st, 1952, for your money back plus postage. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1.
Prove Fatima quality yourself. Compare Fatima with any other king-size cigarette.
1. Fatima's length filters the smoke 85 millimeters for your protection.
2. Fatima's length cools the smoke for your protection.
3. Fatima's length gives you those extra puffs, 21% longer than standard cigarette size.
Fatima gives you more for your money.
And in king-size Fatima, you get an extra mild and soothing smoke, plus the added protection of Fatima quality. Ask your dealer for Fatima in the bright sunny yellow pack. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Monday, June 28, 8:55 a.m. The crime lab crew arrived at the scene of the latest safe burglary, the liquor store on South Alvarado, and began their investigation. The store was gone over thoroughly, as well as the hotel room directly above it, through which the burglars had gained access by ripping a hole in the floor. In the store itself, a few feet from the safe, the men from the crime lab found what appeared to be a broken button, probably off a coat. They also found a crumpled envelope on the floor with the name F. Gordon on it, written in pencil. Along with the half a dozen pieces of clothing found in the hotel room, the items were taken back to the crime lab for further examination. 9:10 a.m. After we finished interviewing the hotel manager, Clyde Winters, Frank Smith and I returned to the office with the license number and description of the suspect's car, as well as exemplars of their handwriting which we'd obtained from the hotel register. We gave our DMV all the information on the car, and they began an immediate check. The vehicle was registered in the name of Ralph McKinley at a Bronson Avenue address. The legal owner was a local bank. We checked the Bronson Avenue place, but they told us there that the man known as McKinley had moved out 7 months before. They had no information on his whereabouts. 10:20 a.m. We talked to the people at the bank which held the pink slip on the car. They told us that the last 2 monthly payments on the car had been mailed in from a Clifford Street address. Frank and I drove out to the location, a one-story duplex apartment building near the intersection of Clifford and Beverly Boulevard.
Nice units, aren't they? Run up all over town.
They seem to be, don't they?
I'll get it.
Yeah?
Your name, Ralph McKinley?
Yeah, that's right. What?
Police officers, you want to get your coat, McKinley? I'd like to talk to you downtown.
What for? What's it all about?
Anybody else living here with you?
No, just myself. Look, you mind telling me what this is all about?
Got a few questions we'd like to ask you. Won't take long.
I can't go with you now. I got a business appointment, half an hour. I've been out of town the last couple of months. I'm due back on the job today.
That's so?
Yeah, I just can't spare the time. Appointments all day long. I got a whole flock of business I have to clear up.
Well, that makes us even. Come on, let's go. Well, there wasn't much doubt about McKinley. He fitted the suspect's description almost perfectly. Tall, slight build, approximately 29 years of age, prematurely gray hair. We went over the apartment, but there was no sign of anyone else on the premises. No sign of any of the loot taken in the burglary. We checked the adjoining garage, but it was empty. The suspect refused to admit that he even owned a car. Frank got on the phone, called the office, and arranged for an immediate stakeout on the apartment. When the men arrived, we drove McKinley back to the city hall and took him to the interrogation room. He was arrogant and uncooperative. We talked to him for a full hour, but he'd admit nothing. Frank left and went down the street to the crime lab to check with Ray Pinker on his findings. I continued questioning McKinley.
I don't care what the old man says. I don't know what you're talking about.
He described you perfectly. He says you were in his fix-it shop a little over a week ago. You told him you were an inventor. You ordered this gadget from him here.
I don't get it. What's that supposed to prove?
Well, you admit you went to the old man. You had him make this thing up for you, didn't you?
I don't admit anything. Why should I?
All we're looking for is a straight story. We're going to get it sooner or later, McKinley. Might as well be now.
You're getting nothing from me. I don't have to tell you a thing.
How about the hotel over on South Alvarado? You stay there last weekend?
No, of course not. Why should I go to a hotel? I stayed at my place.
Thought you said you'd been away. You just got back in town.
Sure, that's what I said. I just got back last week.
Well, then you didn't stay at that hotel on South Alvarado.
I told you I didn't. I don't even know the place.
But you know Mr. Van Owen, the old fellow at the fix-it shop.
I don't know him either. I don't even go near that end of town.
What end of town?
What are you talking about? Where you said the shop is?
I didn't mention where it was. I asked you if you knew a Mr. Van Owen, if you ever went to his fix-it shop to order anything.
Look, what are you lying for? What's the angle?
No angle, McKinley. I told you I like to have a straight story, that's all.
Well, you got it, mister. You heard everything I have to say. I don't know any old man. I don't know anything about that hotel.
Body talking. Yeah, Doc. How'd it go? Uh-huh. I see. Yeah, we'll pick it up. No, we'll pick it up, right.
Thanks a lot. You don't lie very good, McKinley.
Now what are you talking about?
That was our handwriting man. He just finished checking those exemplars of your handwriting we got from you. He compared them to a signature in the register at the hotel on South Alvarado.
I already told you, I don't know the place.
Young fellow by the name of Richardson checked in there Friday night about 7 o'clock. He signed the register. The signature's in your handwriting, McKinley.
Yeah, sure.
That's right.
I don't know the place. I've never been there.
Now, look, you're going to have to do better than that, fella. The hotel manager's on his way down here now to identify you. So's Mr. Van Owen from that fix-it shop. Maybe you better piece together a new story, huh?
You got my story, cop. I was out of town. You can't prove I wasn't.
All right, McKinley, any way you want it.
Joe?
Hi, how'd it go?
Pretty good. Ray Pinker finished checking our stuff at Crime Lab. Here's a report on it.
Thank you.
Just about sews it up, no doubt about it.
Yeah, you're right.
All right, what is it this time? More of your phony charges? I want out of here.
Can't be done, McKinley. Report on the clothes found in that hotel room.
They're not my clothes. I wasn't even in the place.
I'd say you were. Cleaning tags on a pair of trousers and one of the coats. Traced them through the dry cleaners to you.
It's a lie. I told you I wasn't in the place.
All right, there's something else here, fella. They ran tests on all the clothes they found in your room. They found particles of fire clay from the safe that you broke into down below in the liquor store. Your coats, your trousers, they were covered with the stuff.
Save your breath, will you? I'm not...
And when you ripped up the floor of that hotel room, you picked up something else on the clothes. Particles of floor varnish. Small bits of wood, they all tie in.
You through?
No, not quite. A piece of broken coat button we picked up a couple of feet from the safe. They matched it up with one of the buttons on your coat, a broken one. The pieces fit perfectly.
Henry, how about it?
Got my story.
No, you got a lot to explain.
I'll take my chances.
What's the pitch, McKinley? You know you got to come up with a story. It might as well be now.
There's no story to it. I was out of town. I told you that.
Why don't you get off it, mister? It's not going to take much to make a liar out of you. You know that, don't you?
Oh, look, why don't you get off my back, the two of you? I told you everything I'm going to tell you.
Sit down, McKinley.
I'm getting out of here.
Sit down.
All right. Go ahead. I can wait it out as long as you can.
I doubt that.
I'll get it.
All right.
That's speaking. How's it? Oh, yeah, Jim. What is it? That's right. When? Mm-hmm. Fine. Yeah. Thanks. Here's some news for you, McKinley.
Yeah?
Your partner came back to your place a few minutes ago. Our men picked him up. They're bringing him in now.
There's news to me. I don't have any partner. I'm in business for myself.
That's what your partner figures. Tell me he claims you got all the money since you were trying to run out on it.
Oh, what money? Look, I showed you my wallet. You know how much I got.
Well, we're going to ask you just once more.
You got it. There's nothing else to say.
All right, Frank.
Yeah, let's book him in. According to Rogers, his partner's willing to talk. I'll get the story from him.
All right, McKinley, let's go.
What do you mean, go where?
Main jail. We're booking you in.
Come on, let's go.
Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah. Come on.
What did he say anyway, this guy you say they picked up?
Oh, your partner? Well, we told you what he said. Why? What's the matter?
Nothing, I'm just there.
Better order up a stenographer, huh, Joe? Have her ready to take the statement when they bring the guy in.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Sergeant?
Yeah.
Let's go back, I'll tell you.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On September 19th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 91, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, just a parting word about Fatima. I know a lot of you have promised yourself that you'd give Fatima's a try, but, well, you just haven't gotten around to it yet. So I'd appreciate it if you'd kind of keep us in mind the next time you buy cigarettes and ask your dealer for Fatima's. You'll find Fatima gives you more for your money. Compare them with any other king-size cigarette, and you'll find Fatima does have a better flavor and aroma. You'll like its extra mild and soothing smoke. Tomorrow, buy Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Ralph Arthur McKinley and his accomplice, John Warren Hatfield, were tried and convicted on 6 counts of second-degree burglary. They received sentences as prescribed by law. Second-degree burglary is punishable by imprisonment in the county jail for not more than 1 year, or by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for not less than 1 nor more than 15 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, to protect our nation and the free world against communist aggression, we must produce vast quantities of guns, planes, tanks, and explosives. Defense of our country against aggression abroad and inflation at home depends on our ability to fill both our military and civilian requirements. Remember, the better we produce, the stronger we grow.
have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Harry Bartell, Stacey Harris, Jack Crucian. Script by Jim Moser. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gipney speaking.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles. There's more adventurous entertainment with Night Beat next on NBC.